What time is it over there? It's midnight?
Something like that. I don't keep count.
Wow. And you were just playing Call of Duty?
I was, yes.
Did
I
you
was
win?
playing, no, it was kind of sus. I was playing a search and destroy on Black Ops 6, and they defused a bomb, but we didn't see a single person defuse it, so it was kind of sus. They downed us, but that defuse with no one in sight was very sus. I think they were hacking.
If only there was somewhere we could go where we could make reports, to the Call of Duty team and
I
complain.
swear to God, is there not?
I don't know.
Swear.
Bro, I gave up playing Call of Duty specifically to pursue punk rock like 10 years ago. So I haven't
I'm
played.
literally trying to retire from punk rock to play Call of Duty full time. So
Really? Well, I think a basketball player retires at like 35, right? Or something like that. And
is that the going rate?
a punk rocker would probably like how long? I mean, Iggy Pop is still going strong, so maybe there is no retirement age for a punk rocker.
That's true. It's very true.
Um,
Iggy Pop is just there's some kind of divine entity watching over him that he's still alive. Him and Keith Richards, they're just keeping him alive for some reason.
yeah.
They might be capitalist. Whatever divine entity there is out there is capitalist for sure.
Have you ever met either of the two?
No, I have not. I would love to meet Keith Richards. He sounds pretty cool. I met one of Iggy Pop's bastard grandchildren. That's about it. But it's
Under what context?
gosh, this was so long ago. It was a kid in Carlsbad that was like 2 years younger than me. And he would party at my place. And he just said, "Have you ever heard of Iggy Pop?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course." And he's like, "That's Pop." And I was like, "What do you mean Pop?" He goes, "I call him Pop. That's my grandpa." And I was like, "Oh, okay."
That's insane.
I mean, based upon that, I assumed Iggy Pop just has bastard grandchildren everywhere, and children, obviously. On that
I mean,
context,
I've read enough books on him and like Please Kill Me and all those books like to know that that's probably the case.
Well, he was a good-looking kid, so I think he had the same nose, if my memory serves me correct, and the eyes.
There's a basketball player, again, going back to sports for a second, like there's a basketball player who I think had the most sex of all like the basketball players, and I can never remember his name, but Iggy Pop is probably quite similar to that guy. One of the big like all-time greats in America.
So if I'm following this correctly, because I've been drinking, you're saying there's a sexual deviant basketball player that's equivalent to Iggy Pop?
Yeah, or Iggy Pop is equivalent to the basketball player because if I Googled it, which I'm not gonna because my laptop is on a stand and it'll just fall off. But if I had access to Google, I would tell you that it's like what's like a big basketball player before like in the era of Larry Bird. Like who else is there? Do you know? Do you follow?
That's what I was assuming.
Yeah,
because if you said Iggy Pop is the equivalent of that, or based upon that, I assume this was like a Larry Bird era.
Larry Bird, but not Larry Bird. If you Google it, actually, I'm not going to Google it out of the little professionalism I have on this podcast. But yeah, just rest assured with the knowledge that there was a guy out there who got like, I'm pretty sure he got laid like, it was like 15,000 or 150,000. I don't know. It was somewhere between those two.
And those numbers are his sexual partners.
Yes, individual.
Yeah, I just want to dramatize this and say it was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, just to add on to his
no, I'm going to look up which basketball had the most.
You say Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Okay, Wilt Chamberlain.
Of course.
Is that, yeah, was he one of your heroes?
I am familiar with that name. Obviously, he's not as iconic as Larry Bird or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. But what team did he play for?
Man, too many questions. He played. Actually,
two questions.
The thing is, I mean, he might have been a basketball player. He was like a Hall of Famer as well. He was, New York Knicks, maybe. No.
Oh, he was a Knicks player.
No, he wasn't. I'm a terrible reporter. He was number 13 for the LA Lakers, and then number 13 for Golden State as well. But that,
We'll
yeah,
give
I
it to
mean,
him.
I don't follow basketball anymore, but I know that stat from my basketball days when I was 13.
I don't follow basketball players, but you, as a reportedly 6'8" person, I assume you're very familiar with
No,
basketball.
I'm not. The reason I even went into punk rock or art or whatever in the first place is because I just got tired of people talking to me about that shit. You know what I mean? And now, as an adult, I'm like enjoying
Wow.
it again. But they ruined it for
I've
me.
never heard of that scenario before where you have basketball shoved down your throat so much because you're 6'8" that you're like, you know what, I'm gonna look at the opposite of that, which is the
Yeah,
subculture of punk rock.
there's no real similarities between the two sports. I mean, the two sports, the two fucking professions either, right? Your shows that I've seen you like play online. I've never seen you play because you've never played in Australia, right? No,
I would love to, but no, I have not. You're Australian
I'm an
or native to
Argentinian.
Australia?
I'm Argentinian
Okay. Mhm.
living in Australia, coming at you from the Netherlands.
I was telling my Uber driver that I was contacting someone from Amsterdam because I noticed when you said something Amsterdam that is currently in the Netherlands that is Argentinian, and her mind just exploded and she almost crashed the car. But
It's
yeah.
a lot of information to take in. Yeah, it's a lot for me too.
It's not out of the norm, honestly, for me, but
Yeah.
it's very eccentric, which is great.
So you're living and you're reporting from Tijuana, right? That's where.
Yeah, I have my own apartment in Tijuana. Yes,
Cool. Because
but
I was
I'm native to San Diego, which is right across the border.
right. So is your Spanish
I've only
quite
been living here in. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
is your Spanish quite good? Of
My
course.
Spanish is horrific.
What?
Horrific because Tijuana is a border town, so mainly everybody here speaks English, and it's, as you probably already know, it's very common in every other state and every other country but the USA to focus on linguistics and in Mexico, like, you know, for them in kindergarten, they're already studying English. In America, we're studying finger painting in kindergarten. So, as a result of that, yeah, I don't know Spanish, which would have been fantastic in the 90s where I grew up in California. But anywho, as a result of that, my Spanish is horrific because everyone in Mexico speaks English, and as much as they were encouraging me to speak Spanish, I would try, and they would dick around and say, "You sound like an idiot. Just say it in English." Every time I would try to
Really?
learn, so,
That's so
and
discouraging.
as most linguists, it's very discouraging. Exactly, and as most people interested in the language arts will tell you, like, the best way to learn, you know, another language is to immersify yourself in that culture. Like, if I truly wanted to learn Mandarin, I would move to China, you know, to learn it. But in my case, you live in Mexico where everyone spoke English. It just wasn't very lucrative in terms of learning.
But
Spanish.
I've heard some of your songs. I don't know if I've like hallucinated it, but there is Spanish in some sections, right? I mean, you have Spanish titles like "A la puta mierda" and stuff like that. But like,
Yes, yeah. A la mierda, yes.
"A la mierda."
A la mierda is actually more so of a ironically, Argentinian thing, because in Mexico, that, you know, a la verga, which is like saying like to the dick, which is American English equivalent saying like, what the fuck, like dick in Spanish is very equivalent to fuck in the English language, where there's just so many variations of it. Argentina, mierda, which is feces or shit, is the equivalent to Mexico's verga. So that's what that song is. It's more so like my tribute to Argentina. That's
amazing. I'm so honored.
It's like I said, like in Tijuana, if you're in Tijuana, there's not a second that goes by where you don't hear someone say verga, which is dick, which is, like I said, equivalent to fuck. And in Argentina, is mierda, which is, they just say shit all day. Just mierda, 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 mierda.
There's a lot of like pretty,
so that's what that song is.
Pretty filthy like things going on with linguistics everywhere. Like Argentinians are pretty filthy. You know, like I think here in the Netherlands, like when people talk, they wish each other cancer as a form of like respect or something. That's what I learned last night. So everyone's got
Is
these
that like
weird,
saying break a leg or
yeah,
something?
like go get a brain tumor or something. I don't know. I don't speak Dutch, so I'm just like fucking so confused right now. But it is what it is.
Well, I guess
So
that makes sense. Yeah, it's an extreme and like the reverse karma kind of thing of like saying break a leg, like oh, get cancer.
it's about embracing the fear, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe
Um,
cancer rates are very high over there or something.
Maybe. I actually don't think it is because their healthcare system is amazing. Apparently, they all tell me how proud they are of their healthcare system.
Hence why it's such a just a light joke over there, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Time goes by really slowly here, really slowly. It's beautiful, actually. It's just like a day goes on for a year.
that
Um,
does sound beautiful. As far as
yeah.
I can see, that socialism actually works over there, right?
As far as they tell me, yes. And
We're
I've been
thinking of
getting a lot of
Scandinavia.
free food as well. So it's amazing. But I've been put on a obviously this isn't about me, but I've been put on a strict vegan diet, even though I'm not vegan. But I'm living on my mate's couch, and so I'm at his disposal basically. I'm his little bitch. So now I'm just having vegan food all day and all night. So that's it.
That is that is the consequence of having a vegan friend.
Yeah.
But luckily, we're in 2025. Vegan food is fantastic,
It's
honestly.
amazing, actually. Like, it's
It
actually
is.
fucking better than eating. Honestly, it's better than eating meat. Like, I've had less times. I mean, I don't have a toilet here, but you know, it's rough here. But in terms of the experience I've
Did
had,
you say I haven't had a toilet here? Is that your equivalent of saying I haven't shat my pants or something?
no, no, bro. Like, if I was gonna say that, I would have just said that. I don't have a toilet,
But
but
you
I'm
did say
living.
I haven't had a toilet,
Okay,
right? I
Christian,
did hear
I'll
that.
let you in on a little secret. I'm living in my mate's co-working space, so technically I'm not supposed to be sleeping here, and there is no toilet for me to use.
At as flat as you cunts call it. I'm saying cunt because you're from Australia. That's
Yeah, well,
equivalent to
that's
saying
actually really
bro.
awesome that you know that because yeah, that is the most popular word
Yes,
here. Um,
I've noticed. Yeah,
but
there and Scotland. Yes, I
but I was
love
gonna
it.
ask you. I read in an interview. Actually, it's probably one of my favorite interviews of all time. I read it like 3 years ago. You did it with. Are they called Echo? It was Echo something. It was a 2021 interview. And you mentioned two things that were really intriguing that you didn't go into too much further. One of them was that you sold a pair of underwear for $300, American, I assume. So I wanted to
Yes,
ask you about
I
that. And
did.
then the other thing
I
is you
did.
mentioned humanitarian volunteer work that you may or may not have done. So I wanted to know
In
which one of
Mexico,
those you
this
wanted
is
to
right.
tackle
Yeah.
first.
Let's talk about sniffer.
Okay.
Obviously, you can deduce what that is.
Yes.
So yeah, sniffer. Oh, okay. Well, there's a website called Sniffer, and you can sell your underwear on it. And lots of men, I think they really fetishize Asian ass because it's tight, which makes perfect sense. And yeah, I sold underwear on it. What more can I say?
For
My
the
going rate
record,
was about
for the record, I don't
my
know
going
what
rate was
sniffer is.
100.
I
Sniffer
didn't.
is a Sniffer is a site, and I only heard about this because I have a lot of, respectfully, I will say this, slutty friends that are just professionals at just selling sex, and they're telling me, "Oh, Christian, you should try this out." I was like, "Okay," and Sniffer, and they told me the rates. Like, so I would sell my underwear to my demographic for 100 flat, but 25, or sorry, an additional 25 a day, where I don't wash this underwear. So at 300, that was like, I don't want to do math right now. That was like
So how are they
uh,
verifying
that's
the
15
dirtiness?
days.
But how do they know?
Oh, and that's based. I see what you're saying. Yeah, it's just based on trust. So, but honestly, I did lie on some of those, and I didn't have to change my underwear for like at least like 3 days, and it was good enough. So I just kind of just shat my pants a little bit and charted, and
Well,
I was like, yeah, that for sure will pass for 10 days.
as you know, right, there's a housing crisis in Australia and in the world. And so I think you've just suggested something, for my friends to make money that we have never even considered. Obviously, there's OnlyFans, obviously there's all sorts of ways to make money. But selling your underwear seems like such a convenient, easy thing to do. Like the upsale on buying a pair of undies for $3 and selling it for 100 times its price. That's insane.
Absolutely. Yes.
And so why did you only do it
It
once?
is insane. What did what?
Why did you only do it one time?
Oh, I did it more than one time, but that
Oh.
specific incident where I sold it for 300 was just, a one-time deal because that guy apparently wanted his chonies buying off of me to smell like feces, which was easily done.
Was he a fan of Hong Kong Fuck You?
Well, I used to have a band back in the day that was, have you heard of Pussy Riot?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it was, this was like 2000 fucking A, like 13. I was inspired by Pussy Riot and I was like, yeah, I can do that too. I can push the agenda that nudism is not a sexual thing and just being offensive as fucking, just pushing the shock value aspect of things. And I had a grind band that was like I guess I could say this nowadays, is it was the they them equivalent of anal cunt. Like we're just in your face.
Yeah.
And queer as fuck and offensive as fuck. And we'd play everywhere naked. We didn't give a shit. I had no idea where I was going with this, but why are you asking me while I was doing this? I'm sorry.
I actually couldn't tell you where.
I have ADD.
I mean,
all I know is oh yeah, you asked me where this demographic came from. So because of that project, I had this massive demographic of horny motherfuckers in my DMs offering me $1,000 to butt fuck me and this and that, and then I never gave in to those. I was like, nah, I don't think it's worth AIDS to make $2,000. I'm sorry, but I'll sell you my underwear. So and that's the furthest I went as a twerker.
In regards to
selling
playing
underwear, it falls under the category of twerker, which I'm so proud of. Because all I did was sit on my ass and send him pictures of my underwear and be like, yeah, I'll wear this for X amount of time and 25 days extra per day worn, which is a tad bit of a lie, but all that matters was I defecated a tad bit on it with a little shart here and there.
Wow.
Which is Wednesday morning for me, really. Yeah. So, yeah.
That's beautiful.
Mad about it. It is gorgeous. So, since you're from Australia, it's safe to say you cunts are sleeping on the underwear demographic.
For sure, I'm bringing it back. I'm going to be the gateway drug to that, basically, once I come home.
And you're a sexy motherfucker. No offense. You're a sexy motherfucker. You can sell so much underwear.
Thank you. I have so much underwear here that I just recovered from my luggage. Also, as a touring muso,
don't wash it.
Never fly Air Europa. Never fly Air Europa. They will lose your luggage and they'll make you feel like shit. And they'll lose your flight as well. But yeah.
This is equivalent to that in the States. It's called Spirit Airlines. Never fly Spirit.
Yeah, Spirit. And in Australia, we have it as well called Tiger. It's like every country has a shit airline with no sort of no consequence for being a shit airline.
Duly noted. It's not worth the money to save because you're going to spend more money.
No, it's not. Because you lose all your shit and they don't care. They tell you to fuck off. And I even told him I couldn't fit in the other flight. And he goes, I've seen taller guys than you. And I was like, fuck you. Like, what do you mean you've seen taller guys? Yeah, you work here. You obviously are exposed to a larger demographic of people. Anyway.
Hilarious. His comeback. He's like, I've seen taller, you fucking cunt.
It was in Spain. So he probably called me a cabron. In terms of what you were saying before about like nudity is like quite present, right? In Hong Kong Fuck You now as well as it was.
Not really. No, it's nowadays nudity is it doesn't fly as much as well because we live in an age nowadays where everything's so hypersexualized. You know, like TikTok is. We all know it. You go on TikTok, the leading influencers on TikTok are so sexual and this and we're as to the point we're choking and everything that we thought was normal back in our days, growing up in the 2000s, I assume you're as old as me, is such a norm, you know? Everything is so, like I said, hypersexualized. So nudism, any kind of show is just kind of frowned upon nowadays. It's not taken as a shock value. No one will, you know, look at a nipple these days and be like, free the nipple kind of mentality
Yeah.
and think it shouldn't be hypersexualized. Whereas nowadays, like I'm saying, I'm being redundant, but I'm sorry, but everything is very hypersexualized because everyone's so hypersexual nowadays. So everyone is extremely sensitive to those things. So nudism nowadays doesn't fly.
So
Shock
when
Valley nudism, like Gigi Allen and all that kind of that era. That era of music is just it's not a thing anymore, and I respect that. But
yeah, I think Gigi Allen, like there's Gigi on one side, somewhere in the middle there's Red Hot Chili Peppers, and then there's Hong Kong Fuck You.
yeah, none of
Like
those have aged well, especially
no,
Gigi Allen.
no,
And especially Red Hot Chili Peppers with all their like Red Hot Chili
yeah,
Peppers are pretty much on the same level as Drake.
yeah,
but yes, there were some instances. There's one instance with Hong Kong Fuck You where I played a show naked because it was a big show with Machine Girl at the time, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna bring out the old Pussy Riot Christian and do the show naked because this was in 2019 when a lot of kids were attending shows because nowadays shows are just so much kids at shows, it's like the old days, whereas before 2019 it was basically everyone around our age that were attending shows and it was
yeah.
hanging by a thread. So I played that show naked, and I had no idea at the time that was an all ages show. And the fucking venue owner got so pissed. And
Wow.
I was cool. He was like, "Hey, fucking stop playing," because I was like in the middle of collabing a song with Machine Girls playing drums naked for the shock value of it, and I was like, no, I'm going to finish my fucking song. And then he yelled at me. He's like, this is all I do, so fuck you. Like, this is fucked up. And I was like, okay, all right. So, stopped. I got kicked out of the venue, went back in, apologized for it. And then the guy was like, honestly, there's no all ages. There's no kids here, nowadays. They're, mostly our attendance is like 21 up. But because we're a legit venue,
Yeah.
we can't do this. We can get fined for this. So I was like, okay. And then that kind of opened my eyes to being like, all right, now that I'm playing bigger shows, I should be at least a little bit conscious of this to, not put bookers and venue owners in that tough space where they can get their shit closed down just because my jackass wanted to push some sort of artistic agenda. But yeah, nowadays it doesn't fly. So I stopped doing that. But yeah, like I said, nowadays kids with their hypersexualized mentalities, it's not a thing anymore. The shock value, Pussy Riot, and all that stuff. That's just it's gone.
Obviously,
and I understand.
Yeah. There's like the shock value of a band like Pussy Riot, but also I guess you do have that in common with them as well. Like I guess you were talking before, or I asked you about humanitarian work, and the name Hong Kong Fuck You itself comes from the strip club, right? Like is it a fuck you to the strip club?
No, not at all. The inspiration for that is a little bit more obscure. There was a band in Canada a long time ago called Detroit. I don't know if you're familiar with the recent gore metal Canadian bands like Support Cartery or there's another one called that he was involved with. It starts with H. It's some medical term that means vomiting. I can't remember it right now. But they had a band called Detroit. And to me, that was just maybe because I'm autistic, I would just laugh thinking about the fact that they're going around saying, we're Detroit from Canada. So I thought it'd be hilarious if I did the same thing, being in a band from Tijuana. I was like, oh, we should, inspiration. I was like, we should be name of a band from a completely different city and introduce ourselves as that band that's from this city that's not the same city as you are. So, so I thought it'd be hilarious to be like, oh, okay, because we did happen to drive right past the Hong Kong. I was like, oh, we should say we're Hong Kong. Not really that club, but it'd be funny if we said we're Hong Kong from Tijuana because it's just so data. This is so absurd to that sentence. And how that turned into Hong Kong Fuck You is because the first song was called Hong Kong Fuck You, just kind of like an homage to punk rock, like old school songs like Wires 12XU, which is like the old punk way of saying fuck you, you know, like it's basically a fucking cue for a song. It's a countdown to start the song in layman's terms. And to go further into this, when we tried to have internet domains like Instagram and Bandcamp and all that, I couldn't use the name Hong Kong because that was taken by Hong Kong. And so I put Hong Kong Fuck You, named after the first song. And going further into that, the first 5 flyers that were made for our band, they put us as Hong Kong Fuck You. So that name was just kind of forced upon us.
Wow.
So once we started gaining traction, I was like, shit, we can't just be Hong Kong. So I guess it's Hong Kong Fuck You.
That's cool.
So that's the true nature behind that.
Because I was looking
forced upon us because internet domains, and also, like I said, the first song was called Hong Kong Fuck You, which is based upon that song being a cue, but also a double meaning because I don't know if you're familiar with Asian culture, but the humor in Asian culture is just shit talking with a straight face, like no sarcasm. Like sarcasm doesn't exist. It's just like if you watch like Japanese sitcoms or Chinese sitcoms, it's just they're talking shit to you with the straightest face, but it's funny. But there's no sarcasm. And they have the absolute best insults. And that first song we wrote is just me quoting every worst Chinese insult humanly possible. One of my favorite ones is fuck your ancestors to the 18th generation. That is a classic Chinese
That's a lot of fucking, man. That's a lot of fucking.
Yes. And it's also kind of like a tribute to Bruce Lee because all the old school Bruce Lee movies, he's just like, Chinese kickboxing better than Japanese kickboxing. You know, it's just like, you know, with my Chinese culture, I come from the Wang Dynasty. We just take so much pride in China. So it's kind of like my tribute to my people in Asia, just like, you know, so it's more so a fuck you from Hong Kong rather than fuck Hong Kong. But
yeah. I see that, like getting Hong Kong fucked, right? Like you're getting fucked by Hong Kong.
But there's no like a proper grammar to say, like, for example, like American fuck you. There's no Hong Kongian fuck you, so it's just Hong Kong fuck you. So it's literally, to me, a fuck you from Hong Kong. It's that simple. But because of those grammatical technicalities, it doesn't translate well.
Yeah. Cool, actually.
Yeah.
Because, I hadn't heard that full explanation in some of the interviews.
Well, it doesn't help that I've trolled every interview where they ask for that. I've said so many.
I generally don't ask people. I've done about 40 interviews and I've spoken to all sorts of people, and bands, I generally don't ask about the name, but I think you have a very particular, very, very particular name that entices people to know. Like I'm very big on band names. Like my band name's called Dole Manchild. I don't know if you guys have Dole over there, Dole, but like it's like being on the dole and being like government support basically, and being a man-child on top of that. So I'm a big band name guy. I take a lot of pride in that. Also, I think if you have an eye for band names, you also have an eye for like iconography and symbolism and art. And I know that you also do.
Absolutely.
Yes. You do all the art, right? For it.
You do all of my artwork, yes.
Okay, so firstly,
I had some help from Tommy Wilson, his fantastic graphic designer from Canada. But that was just kind of towards the beginning. I kind of more so gave him the art direction and he created it. But otherwise, about I just have to say that as a disclaimer, but 90% of the artwork that you have seen from Hong Kong is all me. And the other 10% from him, we're more so collaborations between him and I.
So that particular what's her name for starters? what's the girl in the artwork?
Oh, the little character.
Yeah.
So that is the equivalent of if you're familiar with I guess you could say like the Pillsbury Doughboy.
Right.
Pillsbury Doughboy. That's more so American thing.
Yeah.
One who, her name is Peko-chan. She's a Japanese character for a candy company that I believe started in the 30s or 40s.
Yeah.
But she's been basically an iconic figure for Japan for this candy called Milky, which is based, their quote is "tastes like mama." So it's like this little, that character. And it's a candy that's supposed to taste very close to breast milk.
Right.
Hence the quote, "tastes like mama." But it's interesting because that created this whole urban legend in Japan of her saying "tastes like mama," based upon World War II. When Japan was being bombed and they were very impoverished by war, and saying that her mother offered her limbs to feed her. So basically, "tastes like mama" has become an urban legend in Japan that character, Peko-chan,
Oh
was a
wow.
cannibal. Yeah. And
But
grew an affinity for cannibalism. But really, what it is, "tastes like mama" is they have milk chocolate that tastes like breast milk, which is even more twisted. So yeah,
so you saw that thing.
I did. Yeah,
And you
I
said,
saw
I
this
want that.
face.
I want that thing. I want to So did you redraw the face in your own like kind of way, or did you
I
use
do. Yeah, it's a bit of tracing that has deviated
so far down the
so
line?
much throughout time. Where now I'm tracing my own tracing. So, but yeah, this is like, to me, this is just like gosh, it's just so twisted looking. The Peko-chan character, it has like this Chucky vibe to it.
Yeah. No, it's a
got
very
this.
like strong, iconic character, and I guess that is what we're doing in a way. Is like we're reinterpreting, right? Like past, uses of iconography in a new way. Does that come from a graphic design background on your behalf?
Perhaps I just maybe I just had an eye for it because when I saw that character, I was like, wow, that's so iconic. I want to use it. That's really it at the end of the day. And I feel like it's kind of like a staple of punk rock because if you look at a lot of 80s hardcore punk, they took things from pop culture in general and used it for Misfits being one of those examples. That
Yeah.
Krupa School comes old school, like I think it was a TV show or something, but we're all
It was
familiar
like
with
it was like called like
Misfits.
the White Ghost or something, or the Red. I don't know what the name was, but yeah, it came from like a specific horror thing.
Yeah, it eludes me, but yeah, we know exactly.
Yeah,
We all know that was not original to them. That was something that they had taken.
there's a real power
And that comes
in that.
yeah, that comes a lot with the majority of the artwork I like, which comes from political cartoons and satire in general. It's like a deviation of something of pop culture in general. So deviations of
Yeah,
iconic imagery.
and I think in regards to 80s punk, I was going to say it's a similar vibe where you had your logo, and the logo was so important. It was as important as the music as your logo. Like you look at the history of Dead Kennedys, you look at all the artwork that Ray Pettibon was doing for Black Flag. Like it's so
Gosh,
tied
I love
to
great fun. Yeah.
incredible, incredible. And it's like all that was like when you see something like in Ray Pettibon's, I guess in that example, he was sort of creating everything himself, but there's other logos that came from other places, and when you see that, there is an element of sincerity there because you are like subconsciously maybe telling people this isn't the original source, but I'm still using it and I'm okay with that. I'm upfront with that, and I think that's kind of cool in punk rock, actually.
Yeah. Well, Black Flag is a name brand from what's it called? A pesticide. It was a spray to kill ants and flies and all that. That's where they got the name. And that pesticide's logo was a waving flag. So
Oh wow,
those Black
really?
Flag bars, yeah, those Black Flag bars are basically just kind of like a minimalistic version portraying a waving flag. That's where he came.
There's a
Because
real
like I said, the original Black Flag logo was literally a black flag, a waving black flag,
yeah.
named after that. Yeah.
There's a real element of nostalgia for like a different time in those designs too, because they are perfect
Uh,
designs made by not perfect people, but perfect artists, artists who studied the craft, artists who devoted their whole lives to design. Maybe. I don't know how much credit I'm giving the pesticide company, but in general,
yeah,
and so now here we are, like a new generation trying to find our way in the world, and we're going to use that image and push the culture forward in a different way, which is punk, right? Super punk.
yeah. And that was, yeah, absolutely. If you even grab I don't know if you're familiar with this book that's been around for decades, but it's called American Hardcore. The inner pages of it just show the logos from all those bands, which were imagery like Battalion of Saints, Dead Kennedys, Bad
Ooh.
Brains, Black Flag. They all had Flipper. They all had their own little specific little niche logos. And ours started off as like a lamb that had a missing limb, but as it's become more prominent with the Peko-chan character, which is like I said, pretty much the Pillsbury Doughboy equivalent of Japan's chocolate mascot. So yeah.
Can we expect to see a third character? Or is that asking too much of you?
No, not at all. I've been thinking about that to mix it up a tad bit, but I haven't quite nailed it yet. But the Peko-chan depictions has been such a fucking hit lately. So
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing.
And it's so fun to work with. It's so fun to work with.
And it's just like, because also you're mixing it with the blood and gore aspect as well. So you're already juxtaposing.
Especially recently. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was gonna ask you about Instagram and shadow banning, because when I tried to watch your new demo video that you put out, the Instagram algorithm kept telling me, they're like, "Are you sure you want to watch this?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sure." It's like, "Are you really sure?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sure." And then I got to watch it, but then I looked at all of your other artworks now, like people getting shot in the head by that character and whatnot. Is the Instagram algorithm, does it accept what you're doing now? Is this, oh, that's just Hong Kong, fuck you, I'm gonna let him be? Or is it quite tough on you guys?
It does show all of it. It was just that video because it's tough to say, but I'm pretty sure the culprit of why that video got banned was because of the that classic Vietnam War execution
Yeah.
that we've all seen before.
Yeah.
I think it was because of that it got banned. But otherwise, everything else has been pretty fine because it's not real depictions of gore. Because there's a lot of accounts on Instagram that show imagery and videos of gore from video games and films, where my artwork falls under that category. But because that real execution was in that video, I think that's why it got shut down. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes there's particular artworks that don't make it out to the public. Even like you put them out there, and your your core fan base will share it, and you guys have a big fan base, so that definitely helps. But I think there's some artists, like there's two artists like Johnny Ryan, who used to do the Vice magazine, or it still does, like the Vice magazine artworks on the actual mag. He does super gory stuff, and Instagram shut his entire account with 100,000 followers down, and he had to restart as well. And that was just cartoon depictions of violence and other stuff as well. But then I interviewed.
Was he using political figures in his artwork? Perhaps
he was using. I don't know. Like, I guess definitely there were like political themes running throughout it. I don't know if there's like specific characters he used, but they're definitely political. Not in like a pushing an agenda kind of way, but a free speech, draw whatever kind of way.
Yeah.
But I interviewed Mike Diana recently, who also like is like quite well known with like Jello Biafra, and they did like a little documentary recently. And he got he didn't, I don't think he served it. He did parole, but he got a sentence for 3 years. I think it was on probation for his drawings back in the 90s. So
Wow.
yeah, and that was in Florida. And actually I was interested by that because I know that in your posters Florida comes up again and again as a theme, to which now you finally played or are about to play Florida. And I was wondering if there's a correlation between it being a place. I've heard that if you want to go to jail for your art, I mean, he's the only case of that specifically, like directly getting prosecuted for his artworks. But if you wanted to get in trouble for your art, Florida's the place to fucking go. Can you confirm?
No, no, not at all. That was more so like a jab at a booker in Florida because I did play Florida before with another project before I tried to book that. So during that time when I was setting up that tour, I got in contact with the booker in Florida, but he just kind of cool guided me and stopped responding to my messages after confirming dates. So I had to move those dates elsewhere. And I just, while I was making that flyer, I was just kind of winging it. You know, I tried not to give it a thought, and I thought it'd be humorous to give it such a long title mentioning every single city we're playing and adding those silly details why we're not playing Florida.
Yeah.
And to get his attention, which it worked.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. It's amazing. I mean, your other flyer said you played West Coast, East Coast, and some racist states, right? So
yes, I did.
So which ones were the racist states?
I said that to a little background on that. I'm from California, and Californians are known to just be geographically uninclined. Unpolitically would be put as just geographically retarded, which I take pride in. So, but I refer to all the racist states. Most of us like think of like Texas and the deep South, where they got, you know, deep Southern drawl accents as racist states. That's what I was referring to. But which ironically, it turned out that the West Coast has the most racist states, which is very true. Like Portland and even California alone.
Really?
Which is interesting because most people's depictions of America's prison systems is that it's pretty much what's the word I'm looking for? It's pretty much not segregated. Divided by racial gains. You know, as we've all like seen portrayed in films, but that's mostly kind of a California thing, like blacks against whites in prisons, and you know, well, like I'm getting at here, like races having racist driven squads / gangs in prisons, also known as prison politics at the end of the day, is more so a West Coast thing that doesn't really exist in the Midwest and the East Coast. So which is attributing to what I'm getting at here. Like the West Coast has turned out to be the only place where I have experienced racism. And I always joke around, but I'm also serious at the same time that I've been trying to experience racism while being on tour, you know, going to the States as more so of a journalistic experience. And I've only experienced that in the West Coast.
Right.
Ironically.
And so
yes.
When you say you've experienced it, is that in a show when you were playing or around the show or?
No, never at shows. Just like in general, feeling like I've been, or just hearing racist comments from people in general, which I should not repeat. But I did experience one racist experience, which is fucking hilarious. In what was that state? It was Missouri, I believe, and I was going to, I'm not going to disclose which because I have quite a fan base, I have influence, but I was basically going to buy drugs and with a friend and he, to my surprise, was saying, "Oh, I'm going to buy drugs at this house, but it's run by a black guy. I'm kind of scared of him," which is kind of racist. I said, "Okay." And he asked me to come with him. I was like, all right, whatever. You know, if you feel scared, I don't think you should, but you know, I'll go with you if it makes you feel better. But ironically, the black guy told him, "No, your friend can't come because he's Asian." So
shit.
Fucking, yes. So my friend, being stereotypical, which is racism, asked me to come in fear of this black guy, but it turned on him because the black guy was racist towards my people. So yeah.
Man, what a world we live in, man! What a world. You can't just buy your drugs in peace without having racism.
Yeah.
So
I mean, racism is mostly a topic brought up by I hate to say this, but by white people, but it's such a white people don't realize what a world it is from a colored dark skinned person's perspective. It's just a whole different world that doesn't get accounted by politically correct people. It's
yeah,
very interesting. It's very yeah. There's not a lot of knowledge on that.
because like even for example, like what's happening now, like what we're observing in Australia that's happening to the
Mhm.
US, but also what I've observed is happening in Europe as well. It's these are pretty dark times, right? I mean, I can't confirm because I'm
Absolutely.
not there, but we've got Trump, we've got Musk. I'm hoping there's some anti-Musk songs on the new album, but also I saw the anti-Musk poster, which was sick with his like decapitated head. That was pretty cool.
Yes.
But like, do you find that there's a sense of I don't know how to describe it, but like, is there a sense of despair, and are you like maybe trying to challenge that in a way as you tour, right, throughout the US in such like difficult fucking times?
Perhaps, but it doesn't really cross my mind because I grew up in a very racially diverse town where white people were the minority. So it's very weird. Like the lesson for me growing up in that town when it came to racial issues was to treat white people nicely because it was racist to be mean towards them for being white, which would be considered, I feel like, sacrilege anywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
No, which is considered reverse racism. But when at the end of the day, I try not to be an extremely political person, and it just kind of narrows down to just don't be a fucking dick. You know,
Yeah. Which is harder for some
like,
people than others.
sadly, it is.
Um,
Non-PC speaking, it just sadly is, and that's where you just gotta step up and say something. So, and I'm autistic as fuck. I will say something if I see something.
yeah,
I don't.
sure. I was also I looked at one of your songs. It said "Surf Nazi." I was genuinely just intrigued. I was like, "What is in your definition of surf Nazi?"
Jesus Christ, that's such a deep cut there. So that was a film, uh, 80s B grade film from Trauma Films that made a lot of famous films like God, what was that called? The Toxic Avenger was one of
Oh
them.
wow, yeah,
I think one was called Monster High. I might be confusing that with like some kind of like figure line. But anywho, one of their
yeah. I
films is
think
called
you did actually. I think you did
Yeah,
confuse it with the thing.
yeah. But anywho, it was by Trauma Films, which is a B grade, uh, industry like A24, Universal for fuck's sake. But it's called Trauma Films, and they had a film called Surf Nazis Must Die. And all I have to ask any listener or person questioning that is to just fucking Google it. Surf Nazis Must Die. It was a movie about surfers in some kind of strange post-apocalyptic world, and it was ran by the surf Nazis. And the whole point of the film was everyone trying to kill the surf Nazis. And but there's a band, a youth crew band from Germany called Surf Nazis Must Die, and that song, the first half of that song is a cover by them called "Emo Kids Blown to Shit." So that's really what that is. The first half of that song is a cover of that, and hence why it's called Surf Nazis Must Die versus Mother Speed. The second half of that song is another cover from a band called Mother Speed. So that's
Right.
really,
Okay, I see.
yeah.
Because I was genuinely wondering if you had encountered while surfing like a skinhead or something like that, and you had a anecdote, but that makes a lot more sense.
No, but there is another side note. Interesting story. I was at a bonfire at a beach in a town called Ocean Beach, which is notorious for surfers. and I was wearing Surf Nazis Must Die shirt, not from the band, but actually a poster of the movie on a t-shirt. And this fucking white supremacist was looking at my shirt saying, "I don't fucking like your shirt. Take it off. Turn it inside out." And obviously I told him no, fuck you. And I turned to my friends, and these two random Italian guys were there. I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna fucking bust this 40 on this guy's head." But it turned out the Italians were with the skinhead, and they told that guy. And then we got into this whole spew, but no one really did anything at the end of the day. But yeah, that's the closest thing to that.
You went to the Italians for refuge, and they turned you away.
Yeah, they did.
On the beach as well. I mean, and that's a weird one.
On the beach.
You're on the beach, so obviously if you didn't, believe in yourself, you would just take your shirt off and it wouldn't be a public humiliation, right? But you know that the real value was inside. And so that's
Sure,
awesome.
Yeah. But I guess it makes sense. Mussolini, Hitler, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
It's all good. I still love you, Tim.
Yeah. I got a few more questions for you as well. I know you recently played with Nascar Aloe. So
I haven't played with him yet, but it's coming up. Yeah.
Oh, true. So is it about to happen?
Not yet. Yeah, it's about to happen.
And
you've seen the flyer for it. Yeah.
How did that I guess friendship happen between you and him?
I actually have never had any contact with him, but there's just it's a small world. There's a booker that has worked with him that has been trying to recreate the whole family values vibe with it. I don't know if you're familiar with family values, but it was a old school tour back in the 90s. An old school festival back in the 90s that would combine the likes of rap with new metal. So this festival would have Korn and Snoop Dogg and DMX all in the same bill. So he's trying to recreate that with Nascar Aloe. But also, I'm familiar with his personality a tad bit, but Nascar Aloe is pretty well versed with subculture in general, punk, metal, and all that. Like he's that great at heart.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
Like that song, an ex of mine showed me Feet, that song, and that was a game changer. Yeah. That's a great song. It makes sense actually that you guys
can fucking drink. He's a fucking party animal.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen videos of him doing shotguns with his teeth. So or beer shotguns with his teeth. So yeah.
Wow.
Fucking monster.
In terms of like,
he may be from a absolutely different world, but he's cool in my book, genre set aside.
I think in today's day and age, with genres being so mixed together, it kind of makes sense. Like both, like you're not just a hardcore band, and he's not just whatever the fuck it is, like new metal or whatever. Like there's so much in each of you guys that it kind of just makes sense to be promoting artists, right? As artists, not as like genre.
Yeah, and that's the agenda he's always been pushing with, because his iconic look is celebrity spikes, as that really knows him by, and just being, just going for that whole subgenre agenda, like I've been saying this whole time. He's got this whole punk vibe to him, and like I said, I've talked to bookers and friends that know him personally, and he's pretty well versed in it. He's not a fucking poser. He knows his shit.
That's cool.
His choice of music is just what he creates, and not against that at all.
So I have a question.
I never really say that. I see a lot of kids like making disagreements in the comment sections over the flyers, but whatever. Fuck them. The world isn't black and white at all.
No,
and if you can't see past that, that's your fucking own problem. Stay home then.
At this point, with how much like diversity there is in everyone's music playlist, I mean, if you are a more alternative person, your playlist is just filled with all sorts of crap, or you have heaps of different playlists. Like, it doesn't make sense to confine people into genres anymore. That's like such an old head approach to it, I think. But also, punk has so many different genres in it from the beginning. So,
it did.
But I was
very mixed.
I was wondering, like, because I mean, this is like more of a personal question. Like, my band goes pretty hard here in Australia, but I'm fucking stuck there. And even though my body is in Europe right now, I watch all these bands that are like touring and I'm like, fuck, I want to be on that stage. I want a chance to be on that stage. How does, like, if a non-American band was to migrate to the US, would they be embraced by, are there scenes that would embrace that band more than others? You know what I mean? Like, have you ever heard of a band doing that? Like, from like Australia, from other places?
But when you say Australia, the one band I think of is Extortion. Are you familiar with
Yeah,
Extortion?
yeah,
I feel like they're way more bigger in the States. But at
yeah,
the end of the day, it's if you're coming from another state, or sorry, I say state, I'm fucking American. If you're coming from another country, you really and looking at this realistically from my experience, you really just gotta establish yourself, at least where you're coming from. But that's also like a tough way to put it because America is such a I'm saying I have a privilege being able to perform in America because it has such a wide audience that
yeah.
gets promoted everywhere else. So like, you play one show in fucking LA or New York, that's everyone in the world's gonna hear about you,
That's the
especially
difficulty.
Indonesia.
That's the
Yeah,
difficulty here. Like I've played shows and documented shows with, 300, 400 people. Word of mouth only goes so far. It makes it into the fucking
yeah,
ocean. I can't like, and even
yeah,
with technology, people are like, "Oh no," but like it's
yeah.
the
It's very
mix of
true.
word of
Oh, you
mouth.
still there?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. It's like it's the mix of word of mouth and technology, not one or the other. So like if I play an awesome show, if it's just not if the I don't know, there's like a limitation somehow, maybe in the algorithm of where the people sharing to their stories, like hype, like natural hype, like where it goes, where it stops. Yeah.
well, I mean, from my personal experience, because I definitely shouldn't be an advisor in anything, but what I personally think and what has been passed down to me from people that work in the industry that have quite a big name for them, and I know a few people who are very successful in quote unquote entertainment industry, but what they have basically told me is, in many other words, is to separate yourself from others, and that's what really sticks out.
Mm.
And in addition to that, is putting the hard work in. In a musician's case, and most big bands' cases, what they have said, you just really gotta fucking play as many shows as humanly possible to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Another case where, yeah, I saw a fucking of all people. You probably know, I saw a Dashboard Confessional. Mostly just the main guy, Chris Krabba, doing a whole on his acoustic set, playing his old shit, and he was doing this whole preach before speech before he played. He's like, "Oh, if you want to be successful, just play everywhere and tour everywhere. Anywho, please buy a T-shirt because I don't make any money." But anywho, yeah, it's
Yeah.
just really about like putting in that work, and and I see that, especially with all my peers bands that are successful, they tour all the fucking time.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
It's tricky with
It's
us
really a
because like
sacrifice at the end of the day. Yeah,
yeah, because we can't.
sacrifice being able to. Most people don't know this. I don't drive. I don't have my own car because I invested all my money into getting gear and to investing on fucking van rentals so I can tour. It's and a lot of successful artists didn't even have their own places to live. They spent all their money on a fucking studio space that they slept in or slept in their cars. There's a lot of shit behind the scenes people don't realize.
I was
Get it
telling
set a lot.
my mate yesterday, because I speak a lot about creativity in my life. I
Mhm.
engage with it more than anything, and I've devoted myself to creativity as if it's a religion, or spirituality, I guess, through creativity. And
I believe that.
I told him, I said, artists and me personally, I've made the ultimate sacrifice. I sacrificed being a fucking lawyer. I sacrificed getting a house
Yeah.
when I want one. I sacrificed
Yeah.
potential options for having a stable life, all because I want to pursue something that people see as selfish, but it can't be selfish if people are coming to your shows and living
Mm.
their lives. It can't be seen as that but it is for some reason. I mean, there's all that stuff going on in Australia, but then there's also like the fact that like a tour in Australia comprises of maybe 5 places or 6 places. Granted, we've got some great venues, but you know,
Yeah.
the cost of getting on a plane is probably more than anything, and you can't take the car anywhere beyond maybe six, you know, maybe 4 states max, maybe. Um,
Yeah.
so it's really difficult here, especially because a lot of people in bands are very career driven and the band is a hobby, not a lifestyle. So you do end up feeling isolated most of your journey. And I
Mhm.
think there's a real issue with that here because it's like without that support, there's no real scene and you could be the most amazing band in the world, but because people aren't hearing your shit, whether it's being gatekept, you know, or not. Because in Australia, I mean, this is my hot take, but it's not really a hot take. If you know me, I always say this shit all the time. But like, you know how you said before that like being unique or like setting yourself apart is, or something like that, is like the way to go. Well, here, that's frowned upon because if you don't
Oh,
sound like a commercial band, you won't be invested in. So we're fucked,
yeah. Hmm.
basically, you know, and it's tricky,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah, but but we do it for a reason, I guess. I mean, there's something that we all want to share with the world. That's why we make flyers and play shows and, you know, connect with people in that hope. But
Yeah. This, I always tell people for the quote unquote recipe for success in the entertainment industry, but it's a half joke, but half serious. Like, it's seriously 90% right place, right time. In
yeah.
other words, luck, uh, 2% talent, and that's pretty much it. Right place, right time.
So it's
And then the rest of that,
98% luck.
yeah. And then the rest of that percentage is like having something separate, creativity, like having
Yeah.
something that's really separates yourself from everything else. Because that's how
Yeah.
trends start. Trends coming out of the fucking left field. Out of left field, like, wow, that's different. That's so fresh.
For sure. I mean,
That's
that's
all I
like
aim for.
going into like surfing in a way as an analogy. Like you put the board in the water and you wait for the wave, but you have to position yourself in a way where that actually can happen. So like if you are
Yes.
being unique at some point, whether, you know, it might be the Charles Bukowski thing where a band gets big when they're 65, you know what I mean? Or 69 or some shit like that. Maybe that's what we're living in now. But then there's also
It's quite a
overnight.
normal case. Actually, like a lot of successful rap artists were in their 30s when they started blowing, like Drake, Kendrick Lamar, Eminem, for fuck's sake. Those guys were all in their 30s when they started blowing up. But then, you also have younger guys like Tupac and fucking what's his name? And like the 90s era of rap where those guys all blew up when they were young because that was such a different scene at the time. Like hip
Yeah.
hop in the 90s, late 80s was just it just came out of fucking nowhere. It was so original at its time that it blew up. But yeah, no. At the end of the day, really, it's just right place, right time. For Hong Kong, we were doing okay when we first started, but why I personally think why we started blowing is because I put out a record during COVID, which is just the right place, right time.
Mm.
Everyone was at home doing nothing. So when I put out the record, everyone had the time to actually sit down and listen to it, and it gained so much traction. And other examples that I've seen in my peers' bands, like I'm great friends with Peter from Spy. He put out his record or his EP, right at the same exact time, fucking blew up. Gulch put out a new record around that time, blew the fuck up.
Mm.
So really, we just, Hong Kong just really got lucky by putting out a record right at that time and gained a lot of traction. And also, like I said, with separating yourself from others, I feel like I pulled out because what other fucking band has 3 basses?
Well, yeah.
Like no, that's I don't want to say it's a gimmick, but it's definitely something that separates us from everyone else. And Also, I don't fuck around with our live shows. I go fucking all in
No, I've
the live
seen.
show.
I've
So,
seen.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's
really,
uh,
I don't want to say brand ourselves, but really separated ourselves from the rest of the pack. At the end of the day, that helped push that, and the hard work of, like I said, just touring, getting
yeah.
ourselves out there,
Well,
and
also like the
I
fact that
also, like I said, sacrificed a lot for that. All of my money went into that. Like, I wasn't spending my money on fucking drugs, alcohol, or cigarettes, or gaming, anything. Like, all of my
yeah.
money went into the project. It's a lot of sacrifice, and hey, yeah, at the end of the day, also a lot of hard work. Unless you want to be a fucking dipshit and get a fucking agent or some shit, which I refuse to do.
You still don't have an agent.
Fuck no.
Fucking A.
Do it all myself.
That's really nice to hear, man. That's actually really
Yeah.
refreshing.
Oh, it's a pain in the ass, but
Oh yeah. No, I know.
this is
It's the
full
same with
time.
us,
I don't
but like,
have a job. This is full time for me. Yeah.
damn.
The artwork to recording, I literally record everything myself. I'm lucky to have friends I get along with to work with me and who are interested in this, that want to learn my music and help me perform it on the road and shit.
Well,
So
that's it, right? Like the community vibe. Like I've, been through a lot of different band members as well, and they've all just been happy to be there at certain points of time to just see the vision, quote unquote, through. And that's definitely
and
not
that's a
something we
job
can
within
take for granted.
itself. Yeah, that's a job within itself. That title in this world is called the project manager, aka getting grown people to be in the same room at the same time. It's so fucking difficult.
Well, that's production. That's what a producer would do for a band, as well, like
Yeah.
producing things
Oh
or
yeah.
directing. And that, yeah, people don't really. I've noticed because like a lot of people. I mean, I don't know what your thoughts are on Rick Rubin, but I'm a big fan of Rick Rubin and what he does. I appreciate somebody who gets people in the room together and gives them a sense of purpose and whatever. Yeah, but like I think for me, like those kinds of people are just so important, and they're overlooked because they're just like, what do? They don't play instruments. It's like, yeah, they don't have to play instruments. If you just need somebody who's like a shaman, basically, or somebody who's like
Yeah.
creatively attractive that just like helps you feel more motivated. Honestly, kind of like a personal trainer for creativity, if you want to look at it that way.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's what
And
Rick Rubin is.
that profession doesn't really exist in a formal setting. I don't know if it does,
It's
but
definitely a dying art. I feel like
yeah,
the other person equivalent to Rick Rubin is Steve Albini, who just
of
recently
course.
passed away.
Rest in peace.
Yeah. Absolute genius. Gosh. Right on the same page as Rick Rubin, but actually was a musician. But yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, no disrespect towards Rick Rubin. I love, I think it's called American Records that he runs.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a name I've known forever since listening to System of a Down when I was like fucking 11 years old. Like, gosh,
Well,
yeah.
there was a parallel to them that I wasn't going to bring up because I didn't know if it was legit. But in one of your interviews, you talked about lyrics and how you just like pulled lyrics out of like a. Was that how they were written? That you pulled it from like I think a cereal box or a book or a magazine or some shit like that.
Oh.
That was bullshit,
No,
right?
I was just trolling that.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
I was just trolling that.
I tend to interview a lot of people who usually troll, but for some reason when I speak to them, they don't troll. So it's hard to know what's going on.
Yeah, no, I was trolling that interview. I think it's kind of well known because most of people's knowledge for Hong Kong comes from Instagram because it's one of the largest social media platforms. And in our bio, we have gatekeepers of lyrics. So
I
so it's
see.
just me pushing that agenda. I mean, I do actually write lyrics. They're more so personal things that really help me get that energy when I'm in the studio to
Yeah.
feel that anger or passion in general to really, at the end of the day, perform in front of that fucking microphone. But no, my lyrics are not actually the nutritional facts to Chex Mix bags.
Well,
So,
yeah, I would find that hard to believe.
yeah.
I don't know what kind of
Yeah,
nutritional shit you guys got going on over there, but yeah. But also,
oh, it's a lot of sodium.
the reason I brought that up is because in Toxicity, or in one of the songs, I don't know which one it is. I think it is
Mhm.
Toxicity. They did that where like Rick Rubin was like, "Oh, grab that book over there on the bookshelf, and whatever the first word is or the sentence there is, that will be the lyric," because they had like a writer's block of some sorts. And so then
Oh,
they
I
did
didn't know
that.
that.
Yeah. And so they did that, and then that's why there's the whole bit that's like, "Why have you forsaken me, Father?" bit, in that song, which is the most iconic bit. But that all goes back to like I guess even like the Brian Eno, like 52 card, whatever the fuck it was, like the cards
Yeah.
technique studios and all that kind of shit as well.
Yeah, that
But
song you're talking about is Chop Suey. You know, the
also,
irony of that song, the real name of that song was Suicide, but because that band was getting so big, they couldn't use Suicide as a song title.
really,
So Chop Suey is kind of a play on that because Suey, suicide. Hence why at the beginning of the song it says rolling suicide because he's saying starting the song. Rolling meaning
oh
starting the
wow,
song. Yeah.
yeah, no
Mhm.
shit. I
Fun
mean
little fact.
yeah,
And that
that's
song is obviously, I mean, about suicide induced by children living in abusive families. But yeah. Yeah.
Jesus. Well, there is a kind of like tangent there as well before we wrap up, like on like band names as well. Like obviously you have the word fuck, right, in your band. So
Yeah.
naturally there's certain promoters that wouldn't put you on a bill, at least in Australia, because you have the word fuck, right? To go even
Yeah.
further, like in I guess like the band I interviewed recently, a piano player who's worked with Suicide, the actual band, right? And so like I think
Oh,
they
suicide.
also
Oh, wow.
might have dealt with something similar at the time initially, right? Like having a band called Suicide is very different to having a band called New York Dolls. Also, rest in peace to David
Yes.
Johansen as well. But
Mhm.
yeah, it is interesting when and like even us, like Dole, Man Child. Well, some people, because grant funding is so prevalent here for bands, it's either grant funding or a really, really, really rich guy likes your music, and fucking supports your band, right? But there's no real in between. We're not in either of those, so we're kind of like outliers. But having your band named after government support isn't conducive to getting a grant. So
Wow.
it is, yeah,
How
title
ironic.
and words can really make or break you. Still to this day, words are so powerful. So
Yeah, our engagement on YouTube and Instagram is surprisingly high for how controversial our name is. Because yeah, if anytime someone tries to look up our music on YouTube, it's age restricted because the word "fuck" at the end of the day. So,
yeah, yeah, it's.
but I'm just sticking by it. I don't know why. I've
I
always
think
been this way since I was a
you're at a
child.
point where you have you're riding a wave of momentum, which is like organic and which is natural and which is based off of people liking your music sincerely. So because you have that support behind you, you can actually do what few people, I guess, here can do, which is be authentic, be punk, and still be able to have some sort of stability, which is amazing, which is inspiring and very hopeful to hear about. In today's day and age, incredibly hopeful to hear about. Yeah. So that's
It's
awesome.
bittersweet because that's definitely an attribution to capitalism. So it's very bittersweet. They're just like, you
Yeah,
know what?
and
We'll let that slide. It makes money,
yeah.
which
Well,
is
I
not what
mean,
it's about.
no, but it's definitely the like regardless of what the capitalist angle of how people can make money from a band is, the genuine idea that people still care about bands and that they can push a band forward despite shadow banning, despite some
Yeah.
elements of PC culture, despite all of that is really inspiring and awesome and maybe something
Mm,
that I really admire about you guys and maybe what drew me in back in, 2020. So
I agree with that. 'Cause it's so such a great full circle. Because I loved listening to angry music as a child. Or, in my teens, same shit. But yeah, I can tell nowadays a majority of our streams in my demographic are people that just want angry music to work out to, and I'm like, fuck yeah, I'll give you that. I feel like that's what's keeping us afloat.
So, like, which song
At the end of
are
the
they on
day,
the Stepmaster to? Do you know which song's the most popular one? that like what's your most popular song at the moment?
The top three I've noticed in my Spotify place is Peace and Silence, Kill a Skinhead, and Third World Fighting Music, which is
Okay.
technically 13 songs, but I just
Well,
kind of compressed them
these
into
are
one.
these are songs that are very anthemic and against I guess like fascism and all sorts of bullshit. So the idea that people go to their gym and they might not be able to do anything to fight against this shit, but they're just on the fucking treadmill running to your music is kind of incredible. It's
They have no idea what's going on. And the majority of them are just normies. They're like, fuck yeah, angry music, cabs there. Yes. Yes.
yeah, these sure are different times. Um
That's relatable. I remember being 15 and doing pull-ups to System of a Down. I was like,
yeah,
fuck yeah.
of course.
Mm.
Of course. I mean, and I actually think Hong Kong Fuck You is an excellent workout, like band, to be honest. It might be one of the better ones in that regard. I'm trying to think of who else. I reckon I could do some like sit-ups to Code Orange, you know? I think that would be awesome.
Code Orange does the job. I've worked out the Code Orange before.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Even
I
back in
reckon
the day when they were Code Orange kids. Oh, yeah.
they were called that?
Oh, the best thing to work out to is Ignorant Slam. Yes.
Ignorant Slam? Is that a style or a band?
Yeah. This is genre.
Genre.
Yes, Slam.
Ignorant Slam.
I'm being politically correct, but
Okay.
I'm holding back one word, but it's slam. Just it's slam. The first half of it ends with a hard R, but it's
Oh
it
wow.
starts with the W, not the N word.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. Ignorant slam. God, it's so harsh. Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you
It makes
for
you wanna-
thank you for admitting that.
Yes. It makes you be able to be like, yes, I'm gonna bench 300 today. Pounds.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. That's
For any
amazing.
listeners.
The
Good example of that syphilectomy from Japan. Gosh, you will be pushing 300 on the bench listening to syphilectomy.
Syphilectomy.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah. I
Or
mean,
just
like,
any breakdown from suffocation. Suffocation's breakdowns inspired slam all across the world. Yeah.
so really, like, people
So that-
are getting healthier because of your music.
Damn, I didn't think about it that way, but I'll take it. Yeah.
Um,
Meanwhile,
lastly,
here I'm drinking whiskey and eating olives for dinner. So
yeah, at like fucking 3 a.m., right? Like, that's what
is that what time it is right
I don't know, dude. You said Pacific saving time. I literally, in my head, I was like, is that Australian time? And I'm like, there's a third option. You guys are the third option of time zones. Like, it's so fucking confusing.
now? I could have sworn Australia's time is noted as AUS, but what the fuck do I know? I'm from
Yeah,
California.
yeah.
We're
What do I know?
geographically just negative IQ'd. In other words, retarded.
Oh yeah, I literally couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you where I am on the map in any way, shape, or form. Like, I literally could not tell you. I don't know anything about what's going on around me now. And Australia
You
as
did
well.
tell me where. You said you're in the Netherlands. I could not point that on the map to save my
No.
life. Like I would be shot dead.
I couldn't either, and I'm there. So think about that.
No wonder why Australians and Californians get along so well. Yes.
Yeah, ignorance. For
It's
sure.
so bliss. I could see that. I've seen more similarities with, for example, Brooklyn and Tijuana, where it's just so compressed. Like every building is attached to each other. Like noise complaints is definitely a big thing out there.
Yeah.
It's how compressed everything is. So
Well,
I
like,
didn't know Australia was like that as well in some places.
yeah, I mean, like, I used to practice in my garage. I lost that house now, but I used to have a house. Now nobody has a house. Everyone's renting now. But I used
Yeah.
to have a house and I had a garage and I'd invite people over and we'd jam and I would drum. And there was a wind funnel that was like shooting into a neighbor's front room. So the sound would
course.
blast these like kids that were sitting on the couch. Like we were playing like hardcore. And it would
Yeah.
just like destroy them. And then one day, the lady, they were really pissed at us because we tried to jump back into my house from their fence and like broke the fence and we didn't have the key and all this bullshit. But the lady,
That's on you.
that is on me though. The lady guilt tripped us because she brought the little kid to a rehearsal, and it's like, what do you want me to do? Like play this kind of music in front of like a 5-year-old? You know what I mean? And it's just like she's like, "I'll show him what you do." It's like, no, I'm not going to show you what you do. This ain't an AA show, bro.
Yeah, that's the difficulty to be a musician in cities like that. Like, yeah, that's those are the parallels I've seen between Tijuana and New York. Is that it's impossible to have a rehearsal space because
Yeah.
everything is compressed like
Yeah,
sardines in a
making
fucking can.
music becomes something you do in like a refuge, you know, like in a bunker or something. Like it's not easy or DIY, and then you don't get real drums and whatnot. Actually, I did want to ask you, are you obviously you're recording with live drums, right? For all these records.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes,
There's no
I
mixing
do
it
all the
with
drums myself. Yeah,
cool. And
I'm
you
the
don't
drummer since I was 12 years old. Actually, right when Toxicity came out.
really?
System of a Down. I learned that whole album by fucking ear on a electric drum kit, playing that 24/7 because I was like 12. I had nothing better else to do.
That's fucking
It
awesome.
was a massive impact on my drumming.
And you learned drumming from like did you learn it from like a wise guru? Did I read somewhere that you read it from this like guy who could play like blast beats, like a world record for blast beats or some shit like that? Or is that like a guy called like Buddy something or something like that?
If anything, what you could be speaking about, I did. I was about 5 years deep into drumming
Yeah.
as a young drummer, and I was pretty advanced for my age. But I was playing for a church, and my pastor was like, "All right, you're not good enough," because at the time I was a metalhead. I was not doing the normie job of a drummer where you just hold the typical beat. I was just like, I want to shred, doing fucking crazy
Yeah.
drum fills in between. He's like, all right, I'm gonna, since he's our only drummer in this youth group, he just so happened to work at a cafe with a experienced drummer that went to a prestigious school in the States called Berkeley in Boston.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, can you give my kid at this church I preach at some lessons? And that guy just so happened to be a fucking amazing drummer. His name's Jared Alexander. And he already, at that time, in the early 2000s, had a great, what's the word I'm looking for? Fucking, I'm sorry, I've been drinking. Basically, he had a great, he already established himself in the drum world. He already toured for the Vandals. He had recorded Throwdown's record, Haymaker, which is iconic for the straight edge world, and just is accomplished drummer in the genre that I was interested in, which I was like, whoa, that's crazy. You drum for these bands that I'm familiar with, and he mentored me and taught me a few things in there to sharpen and chisel my drumming. And nowadays he's fucking My Chemical Romance's main drummer.
What?
Which is so fucking cool. Nowadays I used to like call him like every other weekend just to shoot the shit, but now he doesn't pick up my calls. He's too big. But
Wow. I love that.
but
I
yeah,
love that.
Jared Alexander, JARROD. If anyone can get a hold of him, please tell him to call me. I would love to catch up.
I'll try to get him on the podcast.
But I am kind of cool with his guitarist in My Chemical Romance, Frankie. Frankie's a great supporter of Hong Kong, and hence why Peace and Silence is our biggest song, because he put that on his fucking playlist.
Oh, really?
Yeah, much love.
Wow.
Much love to that
awesome.
motherfucker.
Cool, man.
Yeah,
it's good to see. Like,
yeah, that must be what you're speaking of. Otherwise, I don't think I've had.
I think it
I
wasn't.
Absolutely have not had any other kind of influence on my drumming.
Besides,
I read, especially blast beats.
I must be imagining it because in my head I read like an article that was like not Buddy Rich, but like the equivalent of like Buddy Rich taught you or some shit. I'm like, who the fuck? How did he get in contact with that?
Blast beats?
Maybe. No, not for blast beats. For like a really fast
in
drummer.
General.
Like a really, really fast drummer that you trained under for a bit, who's like the world's fastest drummer or some bullshit. Either way, that story was equally good.
The other equivalent I can think of high up in the industry that I've sat down with at the kit is Brian Evans, who's a controversial drummer, and he's got quite a history because are you familiar with the band Chon?
Yes, actually.
Chon's a big name in I will say modern math rock. To me, math rock is extremely avant-garde, like Caramelos and Hella. But nowadays, math rock is taking quite a different route. But for nowadays, he's quite an icon for math rock drumming because he was pretty much the ghost writer on the drums for Chon.
Cool.
And I was buddies with that guy even before Chon, and we would just talk drums. And I mean, if we're gonna talk drums, this is whole thing with drums called shedding, and shedding is another way to literally say drum battles, where you're just two drum sets, you're with another drummer, and you're literally trying to outdo each other by just doing the craziest drum fills, just basically trying to outdo the fuck out of each other by playing the crazy shit on the fucking drums. And I would sit down with this guy, and he would school the fuck out of me, but I'm as competitive as I am, I'm also a humble guy. I'm like, wow, you fucking drilled me, like a fucking piece of meat, in that drum battle, and I'll learn from that. And that's so maybe that's the guy you're talking about. So that's
maybe
because I know for a fact that pushed me as a drummer by sitting down with big fucking names from that world of drumming that just humbled the shit out of me. And I played with a lot of big names thanks to that, dude. Because like I said, the drum and roll is a whole nother fucking community. And like if you're listening, if you're interested in stepping up in that world, look into shedding. It's like literally like shedding blood.
No, I'll tell my drummer. I'll tell my drummer to look into all that shit because he, in my opinion, he's like a jazz drummer that's now turned hardcore, which is my favorite combination. But like that's
same.
Like I'm gonna tell him about that shit because in my opinion, he's the best drummer I've heard in Australia. Obviously, everyone says that about their kid, though, right? They're like, they're my favorite.
Yeah.
But like,
yes,
like it is cool that there's this like underworld of supportive drum people, at least in the US, right? Or in Tijuana.
Yes and no. Definitely, Tijuana is a whole different world, but definitely the States. Because I mean, this might sound controversial, but I'm just gonna fucking say it. Drumming, to me, at the end of fucking day, is really just truly black fucking culture. Like, goddamn, man. Like, if you look up, anyone can look up gospel chops, fucking A. All the best drummers in the fucking world are black people. And it just goes down to even evolution. Like, Africa invented fucking drums. They've been drumming. They've invented fucking drums. That's all I have to fucking say, and gospel chops is a culture of drums that came obviously from gospel, from church drummers that just they just fucking rip. God fucking damn. They're is extremely creative with it. And a lot of people could arguably say appropriate that culture, but I don't fucking give a fuck. Like, it's just absolutely amazing. All the best drummers in the world are black gospel fucking drummers. Everyone's fucking ripping off those guys. Wow. I respect them. Like Eric, God, I'm sorry. It's like 3 a.m. over here. I've been drinking. Eric Moore, Thomas Pridgeon. What's that other dude's name? He's been drumming since he's a fucking child. Fucking A. Just my point being here, man, just look up gospel chops.
For sure.
It's I'm still extremely sad that the world of drummers are so oblivious to that because it has a massive impact on drumming, period.
For sure.
Yeah.
Like I think the one drummer I know who's like really good, I think comes from that kind of a background, like in terms of like gospel and like choir and stuff like that. And that does check out, right? That like you would be really good.
That's what triggered this whole thing because he told me he was a jazz kid. So yeah. But I mean, my style of drumming is entirely inspired by it, but there's also appreciations on appreciations on both sides of drumming because it's from a drummer's perspective, it's kind of I hate to make it sound so black and white, but and I'm saying that as a euphemism, um, but it's kind of separated from jazz and metal at the end of the day. And then there's like this weird thing in the middle where you're just like some like dipshit pocket player and you just play some Ringo Starr bullshit. Not against that, you know, everyone has a job. But yeah, it's kind of separate between those two when it comes to the extremes of drumming, which is
Yeah.
like I said, gospel chops, which is just the absolute end of the realm when it comes to jazz. And then you have metal, which is more so like a sport when it comes to speed. Because you go up to like a fucking one of the best gospel chop motherfucking jazz killers out there. And they're just like, holy shit, I can't do a blast beat to save my life. And then the opposite end where, you know, you have like the fucking Flow Money, who's a legend when it comes to blast beats, and Cryptopsy that's like, holy shit, I can't do a jazz drum fill to save my fucking life, you know.
Yeah,
And
wow.
that's where my drumming, my aspect comes in, where I'm just like, I'm trying to bridge that gap. And it's very rare, but I see it coming together nowadays, and it's fucking beautiful. Yeah,
Yeah.
that perfect joining where of the metal world and jazz drumming. And I don't know if you're following me, but I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna really nerd out right now. But at the end of the day, when drumming out, I'm gonna put in kind of layman's terms. People kind of reduce the communication of drums to left and right. Obviously, your left hand and your right hand, right?
Yeah.
So I'll break it down this way. When it comes to patterns that you would do in the jazz world, it'd be like right, left, right, kick, like it's very complicated.
Yeah.
And then variation of right and left, right, left. It's like I'm gonna repeat it. Right, left, right, left, right. You know, it's so fucking complex. Whereas the metal world, it's just right, left, right, left, but extremely fucking fast. And
Yeah.
it's fucking I don't know why, but it's fucking hilarious how both sides just can't comprehend that. And yeah, and that's the aspect of for me that I try to bring to Hong Kong is to bridge that fucking gap because I just I love drum fills. And diving earlier to what you're asking about when it came to my drumming, I grew up in a family of fucking drummers. My dad was uh, he grew up in Hawaii. Like literally, my grandfather saw the fucking planes fly over Diamond Head into Pearl Harbor. Like my dad is a fucking true blue farmer boy Hawaiian guy.
Yeah.
But he was also a fucking hippie, and um, so his whole life was just fucking drumming, and he loved fusion, which blew the fuck up in the 90s. I'm sorry, in the 70s, and so he was a jazz drummer at heart. But married my mom, who at the end of she was Hawaiian as well, but she moved to Los Angeles during pre-segregation times. So she pretty much grew up fucking black. So once he moved to the States, he kind of, dropped his whole music career. But he still pushed on drumming towards my older brother, playing for the church, because which is what I was trying to get at with my mom, pretty much being raised black and getting that gospel chops aspect into my life. So I basically grew up with the drummer family that pushed that interest in me. But also I grew up in the early 2000s where Linkin Park and Disturbed was my fucking world. I was like, yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And that's what got me having both my dad and my brother both being drummers.
Yeah, that particular period of time though is like the early 2000s is so fascinating because like for me, I wasn't listening to Disturbed or any of that. I was listening to The Strokes, right? And really it's just there's just two roads that you can follow, right? You either go down one line or the other. You end up in the same place. but you know,
I love the Strokes too, though. God.
yeah, of course. I mean, we I mean, how old are you actually, Christian?
36.
Okay, I'm
I turned
28.
37 this year. You're 28.
I'm 29 this month. So
Hmm. But still pretty close within the same age range where you're
yeah,
like right gap. We had
culture wise, probably very, very similar. I mean, we were both. I
yeah.
mean, I assume based on the fact that
You have siblings around my age or something?
I have siblings 6 years younger than me.
You have no older siblings?
No, do I look like a guy that does?
No, no, no. I was just I was saying that because I have an older brother born in 79, so and my older sister 3 years older than me. So that pushed a lot of
Like, yeah, I see.
basically their culture on me that had a massive impact on me.
Well, I think for me, like as an Argentinian, like when I was growing up, I listened to like four things. Argentinian rock, which is incredible. Like Charlie Garcia is one of the best rock and roll people of all time. I'm not just saying that because I'm Argentinian, but maybe I am. And then there's like I listen to a lot of like fucking John Mayer, Earth, Wind and Fire, and Chili Peppers, right? Like that was my thing. I didn't know any better. And then when I turned 21,
I
like
apologize, but
yeah,
I'm gonna cut you off real quick. What was that first artist you said? Because I love music, so I'm gonna write
um,
that down.
the first artist I said, oh yeah. I thought you were asking me about John Mayer, and I was like, what? Like,
No,
why do
fuck
you want
John
to
Mayer.
know
I
that?
mean, respect John Mayer, but also fuck John
Okay,
Mayer.
it's CHRLY.
CHRLY.
CHAR, sorry, LY. Charlie with a Y. And then
CHRLY. Okay, Charlie. Charlie with a
Garcia
Y.
Garcia.
Okay.
Garcia. You know Garcia. You spent enough time in Tijuana to know Garcia. But
Okay. They're
but bas
Argentinian artists.
yeah, he's like probably in his 70s now. He is the equivalent. I don't know what he's the equivalent of, but he's like a prog uh piano prodigy who also plays guitar, who was like he has one mustache which is white and one mustache which is black, and that's like an organic thing, like he didn't dye it. And he basically is like a savant basically of music, and he's also got the Iggy Pop thing where he just wouldn't die. Like he jumped from like 10 stories into a pool, and his music is really chill. It's not hectic, but he is like the most punk motherfucker I've ever seen, you know, on par with all the fucking greats. So yeah,
And like you're saying, Argentinians pride and joy.
he is one of them. I don't know what a young Argentinian person does. You know what I mean? I wasn't raised there, so I just don't know. But I know that
Yeah.
people who are in their 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s have like an amazing amount of admiration for this person who's still alive, mind you. And if
Hmm.
you go down that rabbit hole, you'll kind of go into a bunch of other musicians who are equally amazing. Argentina makes amazing rock music. It's the punk scene there, from what I've seen, is still quite like it's still living in the 70s and 80s. Like they love their Misfits, they love that kind of stuff. Also, I've
Yeah.
noticed in Europe that people, if like I go into a club with my North Face like winter yellow jacket, and people look at me like I'm a fucking idiot because everyone's dressed in leather jackets and they're all cool and they're all like, you know what I mean, like in the old school punk fashion of that time. Whereas I don't identify as like a punk looking guy. I just am punk through attitude, you know? So it's a different kind of thing. But anyway, I digress. Check them
Love
out.
that.
'Cause they're fucking awesome. What was I even talking to you about? I actually don't even remember. I think
God, I love our ADD.
yeah, I actually don't remember what I was saying. But anyway, to wrap things up, because we might as well have been talking for 2 hours. I actually don't know when this Zoom call started. I don't know. I literally don't know.
I'm down to go as long as you fucking want. You can chop this shit up, throw it
Well,
in there.
I'll put it all fucking raw, and I'll figure out a segment to animate as well, because we animate like 30-second reels and shit. So I'll figure out the most fun bit and do that. Um,
Yeah, what do you use for your animations, by the
So
way?
at the moment, I've got three animators that work for me because I do art, but my art style isn't easy to animate. It's made from an art standpoint, not a technical one for easy movements, that kind of stuff. So I have
Like
to
what?
rely on
What are
other
you saying?
people.
pen and you do like pen and ink.
I do shit like this basically. Like on the Instagram, it's a lot of the stuff I do for the band because I'm also like you. I do my own art, my own
Hmm.
stunts, my own management. It's just DIY till I die type shit. But like a lot of like self portraits, in black ink and like this kind of shit. You know what I mean? So super.
Yeah. I'm no art student at all, man. At fucking all.
No,
Like
I dropped
uh,
out of art school, so like
I didn't even go to art school.
yeah, well, they didn't teach me shit, but they did introduce me to Raymond Pettibon, not personally, but they did tell me about him, and that was a huge thing actually for me.
I
But
fucking love Raymond Pettibon. God. I
incredible.
toured with I did a small bit on tour with you're familiar with Off?
Yeah, actually, yeah.
It's well,
It's
the
the other,
original singer of Black Flag was Keith Morris. So
yeah,
he eventually had a side project called Off in the 2000s. But anyway, I toured with the band, and all of Off's artwork is from Raymond Pettibon, obviously because Keith Richards.
yeah.
But yeah, their guitarist was telling me about Raymond Pettibon. He said he'd go to his house, and it was like the most disorganized piece of shit ever, and he would just all of Raymond Pettibon's artwork would just be all over the floor. He was just this disorganized, autistic motherfucker. And my buddy was telling me, he's just like, yeah, I was just stepping in literally on $1 million pieces. They were just all there laying around his house. Raymond
That's
Pettibon,
amazing.
it's like, just like you and I, it's just some, untrained motherfucker, doesn't give a fuck, just does whatever the fucking hell he wants.
I think
Fuck school, fuck all that shit.
I think that's the
Because
thing about
also, like, my older brother he's a extremely talented artist. Like,
yeah.
he could do some Michelangelo shit. He was trained on all that shit. Me, not fucking no. I just, I grew up in the 90s. I didn't have a fucking tablet. All I had was,
Yeah.
or video games or internet or TV. I was just like, all right, I got a fucking crayon and paper. I'll have fun with this. And I was extremely creative, This, like, even Salvador Dali, fuck Salvador Dali. Even he said, like, there's no fucking rules. There's no such thing as cheating with all that shit. Like,
Yeah,
who fucking
it's
cares?
it's so true. Like, I mean, I just learned
Bugs.
drawing by myself, and I limited myself to a pen,
Yeah,
an ink and a pen. Hence why I even got, I guess, compared to, at the time, not rightfully so, but I did my own thing, but to
yeah,
Raymond. But yeah, I think being self-taught isn't something you teach. It's like a lifestyle thing. You kind of veer off the track somehow for some fucking reason, whatever, whether it's in music or in art or whatever. And then you just don't have a teacher in that specific realm for a period of time. And in that time, you kind of nurture your own style. What I've struggled with is
yeah.
after finding my style is like, how do I how do I become born again in a different era, because people get locked into their style and it's just like with genres, like why just stay in one place, like explore other realms because there's multiple versions of you in terms of creativity. But yeah.
I think I'm kind of following. So, what's your personal situation with that? Like, for example, what were you locked in on? You were just doing like pen and ink, and you kind of got bored with that and had a
Pretty
hiatus,
much.
or
I started
yeah.
my art career properly in COVID, and I got dumped. And so she said, I hate your art, I hate your music, and I hate something else that she didn't like. And I thought, that's too many things to hate. And I was looking at my mirror at the time, and I said, you know what? Nah, fuck you. I'm gonna go hard on this. So then I started drawing, and so I started drawing every day. I started up like an online community. So because our lockdowns were really bad here, so I started a thing called
Hmm.
Daily Writing Thing, which was a Facebook forum for creatives to share poetry, share art, share writing, which actually blew up and did really well at the time. And so I burnt myself the fuck out because I did over 3,000 sketches, but they were like published because I use Adobe Illustrator, but I do a drawing in ink, take a photo of it on my phone, send it to my email, and then I just image trace it basically, and then I export it with color or not. So that's my
I know what you're saying. So basically, you hand draw, take a photo with whatever, and vectorize it on Adobe
yes,
Illustrator.
yes,
Yeah.
and so that for me was like I did it every day and it was a really great structure. But once I built up a little following here, and once some of the work started to go more or less quote unquote viral, there was an expectation that I would reach that same level with each piece. However, the pieces that went viral were the ones I gave less a fuck about, you know? And so now I was trying to give no fucks. So it was misconstrued what I was trying to do now. So I
Yeah.
burnt out, and I had a hardcore band with a prog drummer before COVID. That died because that was a band that was founded on the essence of we are a band and we're gonna go and tackle the world and we're gonna live in a normal time, relatively normal. COVID happened, and then I lost everything, and that was I think 4 years of work, and that's when I made this band. So I stopped making.
I cut you off real quick. What do you mean by you lost everything? Like you just lost all your interest, or you literally lost
No,
all your
like we
artwork?
our COVID, like our time in COVID was 2 years of house arrest here. So we
About
didn't
like
have any
2020
venues.
to 22.
2020 to 2022. We had the
Yeah.
world's longest in Melbourne, Australia. We had the world's longest I guess session of that. And so we
Hmm.
yeah, our mental health
I had
went.
no idea about that. Oh, damn.
So we weren't able to book recordings. We had to record. We recorded a lot of an EP that never got released at night at a university campus, like sneaking in and like just fucking recording and then getting out. It was, you couldn't go more than 5 kilometers from your house. The cops would theoretically stop you. If you, and then they would extend it to 10 kilometers from your house. You couldn't be in a room with more than two people at certain points. So my point is, a band that's founded on that is going to die and did die and has never been reborn because it was founded on the idea that, like that would be a thing that, this would never happen. Like it was inconceivable that we would be house arrested for that long. So my new band was a response to that. It was a COVID proof band where I would write all the music, I would do all the art, and I would just make sure it didn't die the same way that the other thing was. And so my thing is that I stopped making art the moment that I started doing the band stuff, but now I do artworks for the band. So it's I still kind of do art, but I'm not pumping out a piece every day, is what I'm saying.
So, if I'm following this correctly, you were in the band, but now you're technically not in the band. You're just doing artwork for them.
No, now I'm in a band that I write all the demos for, like all the instruments for and like the music for. So now I made another band. I made a COVID proof band after the first band died in COVID. Does that make sense?
It kind of does, but
Two bands,
what do
two
you like?
bands. One of them died in COVID. One of them was made in COVID.
That's what you mean by COVID proof.
Yes,
God, that's complicated.
it is. It is. But
And
anyway,
tragic.
to answer your initial question before we went on this massive tangent is
Yeah, I'm sorry I'm turning this interview on you. You're just
no,
way
no,
more
I love
interesting.
that shit. I think more people should. I hate the idea of hierarchy in fucking interviews. It's just so silly. But what I'm saying is, I mean, that's what podcasts are, right? But my animator who does my animations for this show which is how we got here, is, she does it
That
all.
was the main attraction.
Yeah, she does a 1998 version of Photoshop, and she
What the fuck does
makes.
that mean? You mean pixelated or something?
Well, I think her version of Photoshop is the is the 1998 version of it. She uses a shout out to Apricot Banana. That's her Insta, Gabby. She uses a fucking trackpad, like the actual mouse on her laptop, which I'm pretty sure is from 2005. And so she's like she doesn't have a drawing pad, and she's not drawing it by hand, and so
Uh-huh.
she's like that's what she uses. So she's literally using mystical, fragments of an old civilization to make these arts, because like old MacBook shit. Now we do have more animators on the podcast as well. One of them does stuff in like a more like a manga anime style, which is really cool too.
That's
And then
fucking rad.
there's another guy who did one recently when I spoke to an American artist called Mr. Let's Paint, who's the guy on the treadmill who runs on the treadmill, makes music on the treadmill, paints on the treadmill, and cooks on the treadmill all at the same time. And that animation was done by a guy called Francisco, who's a Spanish artist. So yeah, like there's lots of different people with different techniques, but the core of my show comes from that style, right? Like the cover that you will appear on is that like pixelated kind of vibe, and it's because of the technology that she's using, which is
That dog shit technology, but really it's just Microsoft Paint.
yeah, it must be a nightmare. It must be an absolute fucking nightmare, man.
It isn't, isn't. I used to love. I will send it to you. I growing up as a kid with no internet, but having Microsoft Paint on our shitty fucking Dell computers. I would draw on Microsoft Paint all fucking day, and I would like to say I was good at it for a fucking child. So
Yeah,
I've done inspirations of it, kind of sarcastically recently, where it's like these weird deviations of well, I title it Suicide Squad, but it was spelled with horrible grammar, and it was like this dream team of Barney, Tetsuo from Akira, Charlie Brown, and I think Bart Simpson, just looking like these retarded, just basically just like retarded creatures. But I fucking yeah. What I'm trying to get at here is that I fucking love Microsoft Paint, and it was I used to draw on it all fucking day as a kid. I grew up in a Christian household with no fucking internet. You know, that's all I fucking had.
well, like I grew up on newgrounds.com, which nobody fucking remembers anymore.
I remember Newgrounds.com.
Thank you. You're the only motherfucker who knows what I'm talking about, because you'll say mini clip and some normies will
So
go,
I'm saying you're familiar with like Stick Death and Super Beast and all that shit.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
A man of culture,
Yes.
a man of taste. Yeah, and that shit was crazy. And there's lore in that website
nuts
that doesn't exist anymore, right? There's characters. It's like if I said to you, "Oh, do you remember, Mickey Mouse?" And you're like, "Nah, I don't remember who Mickey Mouse was." Like there were people there who we worshipped as like, I don't know, not even creatives, as consumers of content, animated flash content that were huge icons, all belonging to one website. What the fuck was that all about? I don't know, but it was awesome. And it was
Newground games were fucking insane. That was like a perfect balance of edgelord humor. Not being too edgy, but
no, there was still heart there. There was still some sort of there was like some sort of sincerity there, and they were pushing the flash medium to its absolute fucking limit. And I really appreciate that, because that's what I think my animator's doing as well. Like at a certain point, if you're like doing a 2D drawing on a software that's a piece of shit, and you're just putting all of your time into it, you're going to create something that's beyond both what you and the technology had envisioned. You're going to break the medium, so to speak, and do something that's mystical, that is not really, you can't really explain why it has a certain charm or allure, because it's just beyond a joke or a style or something. You've just gone too hard. You've locked into the medium, and people were doing that with Flash because back then, and still now, access to animation software that was like 3D, like back in the day, imagine having to fucking do a 3D animation. You know what I mean? Like that was a fucking nightmare.
Weren't all those Newgrounds videos made basically on Microsoft PowerPoint, but just them maxing out the fucking like limitation,
jailbreaking the software or whatever just to get it like fucking and I mean a lot of that translated into like iPad culture as well, back when I used to play Jelly Car or like Pocket God or all those games that were like popping off, but you would play them with your iPad. But Newgrounds had such,
and it was also it was also unregulated. They did whatever the fuck they wanted on there. They're making parodies and satires of like Pokemon, just basically anything they wanted to, because it was ran by the people. It was nothing. It was that was not like a major corporate thing is what I'm trying to get at here. It was that was like the OG meme, honestly. Newgrounds, they did whatever
Yeah.
they want without censorship, because it was just shitty Microsoft Paint fucking artwork at the end of the day, or
Well,
Flashpoint.
you're right.
Yeah,
That was the beginning of meme culture, but it doesn't get credited
yeah,
because people view like what happened with like like Pepe the Frog or whatever the fuck, all those like original memes as being the
yeah,
first ones. But to be honest, that was just an excerpt from a bigger culture that was now put like that fell under rubble because Newgrounds did stop at a certain point and Flash Player did stop as well. I do remember that that was made inactive, right? Or something happened with Flash a while ago where they said the engine was going to like no longer be available or something. I don't know. The whole thing shut down. I don't know if there's still a website either, but I don't know. I think it's like the reason I don't really enjoy memes is because when I was a kid and I was playing fucking Habbo Hotel as well, and all that bullshit is like I already experienced that in its full essence. I didn't need it to be tied to social media. I didn't need the act of sharing a meme to make the meme. I already had the culture from the website by playing a game, usually a single
yeah.
player game. So yeah. Maybe that explains why I don't really like memes. I don't know. I don't even know how we got here. And it's probably fucking 4 a.m. at this point at yours.
Oh, it doesn't matter. I don't know if you noticed, but I've been doing coke this whole time. But
Yeah, I noticed.
um, oh, you did. Yeah, I like to eat it. It's right to the point.
Yeah, it seems to be
Fuck.
quite
How did we get
popular.
here?
It seems like I'm straight edge, so I don't consume, but it seems to be quite popular to everyone here. In like the Netherlands. Yeah.
I love your openness. Ah, thank you.
You got to be open. I'll tell you one thing though. Like, I've done about 35 or 40 of these now. And I
Yeah,
think if you're not open with your guest, then you can't expect your guest to be open with you. You know what I mean? So, like,
absolutely. Yeah.
and I
Just in
think,
general, getting along with people, period. You just can't view the world as, like I've been saying this whole time, black and white. There's way more to it. It's just if you want to view the world as black and white, God, it's gonna be a very hard life for you. You
it's
know.
very difficult to view anything as black and white now. I think everything's just become a, smorgasbord of everything. Like just, in terms of culture, it's really difficult to like even pinpoint, like you can't really judge anyone by anything. It's just impossible. Alternative has become the norm in some places. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
there's no set group of people really, usually. So it's difficult. But I mean, I guess that's how the world should be in essence, but people do feel the need to categorize things a lot, and those people struggle with 2025.
well, that leads into quite a dark subject because obviously you and I are. I'm not trying to suck our own dicks, but we're quite intelligent people. We're aware that the world is not black and white, but we're also aware that there are a lot of people and more people that inhabit the world with our mentalities that believe the world is black and white.
Yeah.
That's the trap of it all. At
Yeah, it's like I don't know, like
the end
yeah.
of the day, we just, we could just label them as fanatics, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're just not in positions of power to do any of the great sweeping things that we'd want to do. I mean, maybe we don't want to do anything, but like I think like I'm not a politically active guy. I'm not aligned
Same.
with any party. I'm a sociologically interested person. So I'm interested in humans. I'm interested in conversation. I'm interested in understanding the differences between people. I'm interested in creativity. So, and like the origins of life and all that through that. But like, yeah, I'm not somebody who aligns himself with any set sort of beliefs. My beliefs are very, to my credit and also to my, as a weakness, like my beliefs can crumble quite quickly if I find information that challenges it. And a lot of people can't handle that. Like their whole lives just changing because of a new set of beliefs. But I can, I think. I guess I'm only 28, and you're only, did you say
Yeah.
36? Like, it's just like, you know, like we're still young and we're still malleable, you know, in a way, and we're still open to what life has to offer. So why should we, you know, tie ourselves down to any one thing? We're still passionate people, but it's a
Yeah.
chaotic world. So
Also very, I mean, my opinion, a humble approach, because at the end of the day, what do you change your mind? It's adaptability, or it could also be like, you know what, I was wrong.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah, people don't want to be wrong.
No.
Um, and I don't care if I'm wrong. I just want to learn better. And like
Same.
that's all life is, and that's all I really ask from it. And I think that yeah, I don't know. I honestly I actually this interview's gone crazy, bro. We're just like, what are we even doing?
I'm just keeping it real, man.
Me
I'm just
too.
keeping it real.
Me too. I'll ask
That's
you,
why I fuck with you. I
yeah.
did when you messaged me, I was like, "Who's this dipshit?" And I crept your page. I was like, "Ah, he's an artist. Yeah, I'll do it." I was like, "He's
Yeah, I
full of fun."
think
Yeah,
honestly, I really do appreciate that. Like, because I've never met you, so like
yeah.
and looking, and I'm a punk guy, but I, you know, I can tell you're also like a guy with like a good heart, and so that's a difficult balance sometimes. Like I, as an anxious person myself, when I see a band like Hong Kong Fuck You, and I see the shows, I'm like, what's this dude gonna be like? I always remember Henry Rollins sitting in his, I'm sure you've seen it, sitting in his like off stage, sweating, and he's just like just like, and then these two like hipsters come in and they try to like chat to him, and he's like, please don't talk to me. Why would you talk to me? You know, and as that, I've been in that position where I've like been, you
We're
know,
talking about the '86 era where it's like sexy Henry Rollins,
yes,
wet hair in his face,
yes. And he's
and
like,
he's like,
why
"No,
are
we
you
need to
talking to
sell out."
me? And they're like, we love
He's
your shit. He's like, why are you talking to me?
and he's like bullying some like 16-year-old
Yeah,
kid,
bullying the
right? Yeah,
kid.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
like awesome era
Seen
of
that.
Henry Rollins, but like you never know with musicians what it's going to be, and it always ends up being amazing. Like with musos, generally speaking, and I'm a guy I'm a 6'9" dude. I don't play naked, but I go fucking hard. Like we have like, you know, human centipede like puppets in the shows. We have like laser shooting fucking big mascots. Like it's a crazy show and crowd surfing and all that bullshit. But I
Come
also
on, your band, you guys
yeah,
do all that crazy shit?
yeah. I
Oh,
can send it
fuck
to
yeah,
you
I'd love to
later
see that.
if you ever
Yeah,
play Australia,
please.
please, yeah, hit us up. But like we're a very like theatrical band, and I don't play a character, but I do play an exaggerated version of myself, which I'm sure you can
Yeah,
understand, right? Obviously, with
yeah.
the situation. So I know what it's like for someone to be sort of intimidated by me and me not understand after a show. Like I'm the opposite of Henry Rollins. I'm like, yeah, I'd love to chat to people, but people are like, oh, nice show, and then they'll just fuck off because they just don't know who you are. And so before this interview, I was like, what's he going to be like? But you're actually a sick cunt, as we would say. So it's
I
actually been really
was
fun.
waiting for you to drop the hard cunt. Yes.
Yeah.
All my friends from Australia and Scotland, they regret so hard telling that cunt's a common term because every time I say, "What's up, you fucking cunt?" And they're just like, this motherfucker, this fucking cunt.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like in Argentina, we use the word che a lot. And it's the most common Spanish word, che. It's like che, boludo, che, pibe. It's like oi in a way. It's like man. It's like a mixture between man and oi and hey.
Okay, like CHE.
Yeah, like Che Guevara, who was named after
Yeah,
that word. But well, he
did
wasn't
not
named
know
after
that.
that. He was
Hmm.
nicknamed. His name's Ernesto, but he was nicknamed Che because of that slang. But but cunt is like our version of Che. Like it's the most commonly used term of endearment that we have, basically, here.
Mm.
You can also use it aggressively, and it just depends on your tone of voice, as most things do. But if you say, "Hey, cunt, what's up?" You know, it's like a friendly one. If you say, "Oi," like if you go, "Hey, like you fucking cunt," like that's that's the aggressive one. It's just the subtleties of inflection. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
the
Oh,
general
yeah,
advice.
absolutely. Yeah. It's
But
that's
anyway,
what I love about language. It's so much.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we've done a full circle into language again after 3 hours of convo. I want to ask you one more question, which I think is relevant. I mean, I haven't really been asking questions, more banter, but that's the best type of interview anyway. Um, the one thing I did want to ask you is, what can we expect, and what can you tell me from the upcoming album?
All I want to say about this upcoming album is I'm most people don't know this, but I come from my musicianship comes from a death metal background, and it was quite the opposite. I was originally into death metal, thrash metal, as like a very young child. I unironically, thanks to watching what's that fucking movie called, Ace Ventura, with Cannibal Corpse's little
Oh yeah,
excellent
that's awesome. Yeah,
take on
yeah.
it. Because I remember seeing that as like a really young child. I was like, wow, that's actually fucking sick. I was like, he's using Cookie Monster voice. I was like, this is badass. I didn't even know what pinch harmonics were, but I loved it. Yeah, which is an essential thing for the guitarist for all the notes. But anyway, yeah, no, I've been at the end of the day, it's really just my first instrument was guitar, and I love death metal, and that's my background. And then I eventually was led more towards punk because, as a teenager going to metal shows, I was just like, wow, this is quite an elitist culture. Like, it's hard to say like any fucking name drop any band without someone talking shit on it, being like, oh, that drummer sucks.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a very musically elitist culture, which I'm not against, but I get it. But once I remember going when I was like 16, going to my first like house show, and I was like, wow, and just resonating more with that culture. I was like, wow, this is it's more accepting, it's more chill, and no one's elitist about this or that. It was also seen more genuinely angry because that was my main attraction to subgenres in general, with metal and all that shit, was just how angry it was being an angsty teen. And what I'm trying to get at here is with Hong Kong, this new record, I'm just not fucking holding back at all. Like this, I don't give a shit about the rules I personally have set with Hong Kong, because originally all the older shit I was doing with Hong Kong, I was like, I gotta, I'm not going to do insane double bass drum riffs, for all the musically inclined nerds out there. And I'm going to keep it as simple as possible, but, and stick to this recipe I've had back in the day. But this new record, I don't fucking give a fuck. I'm going fucking all in. I'm going, I'm going to step outside of all the little niches that were in all the, all the old records that I've stuck to, and just go fucking balls deep on that shit. Like, I don't give a shit. My mission with this record is to put up the most aggressive thing out there possible for my purpose. Like, and that's really all I can say about it. It's a nice blend of every record I put out with Hong Kong, and I don't know if you're familiar with it, but I've had this like a bullshit side project called All You Need Is Kill.
Yeah.
Which is running all those rules. So I was like, I don't give a shit. I'm gonna break all the Hong Kong fuck you limitations, and do whatever I want this record. And most people don't know this, but a lot of the stuff I put out, I'm basically 100% of the music I put out with Hong Kong. I'm sorry, with All You Need Is Kill, were ideas I've had in general musically that I wanted to do with Hong Kong, but I just said fuck it and put it all on that record as a recording kind of just experiment. That's a whole another deeper story that would take up another 15 minutes for me to explain. But at the end of the day, I can narrow this down. The last All You Need Is Kill EP that I just put out was honestly just a recording experiment for the new Hong Kong Fuck You coming out. And I don't give a fucking shit. Like, I'm breaking all my personal rules I've had on Hong Kong on this fucking record. It's, I truly feel like this record is is going to be the best shit we've ever fucking put out, and I'm so excited to do it. I've
Cool,
been
man.
working on the concept of this album for the last 4 years to make sure it's something no one's ever heard before, and I'm so fucking excited to put it out.
That's awesome.
I
And it's
actually recorded all the drums just yesterday for that, and holy shit, I was dying. I was dying.
cool.
10 hour fucking session on that.
So that record, is it your first? Because I know that on Spotify you have a split album with Guilt Dispenser, but is this your first Hong Kong Fuck You full album, right?
Yeah, everything else has just been uh EPs, basically, under
Cool.
5 minutes. Yeah. Third World, most people don't know this, but Third World is actually consisted of something about 13 to 14 songs. But Spotify and all those streaming services are kind of complicated. So it was around the time when I put that record out, I couldn't put out a fucking 5 second song. But yeah, there's
Oh,
that 6 minute EP is a compilation of 30 to 5 second songs.
really?
Yeah, some of
No
those, I
shit.
think like 6 of those songs are actually 1 second. But a way for anyone who does give a damn, they can go, if you're familiar with Bandcamp,
Yeah, of
you
course.
can go on the Bandcamp, and if you look at uh, that EP, Third World Fighting Music, it all the tracks are separated. Hence why when you look it up on Spotify or whatever fucking app that you use, it's this continuous play because it's well, obviously a continuous play of all of the songs all at once. Basically, the intended listening experience.
I appreciate that a lot because, especially now, like obviously, I'm not putting out 5 second tracks, but generally
Yeah.
in Australia, it's not really, it's kind of frowned upon if you're chucking out 1 minute songs. However, this album that we're putting out our second album. In my opinion, the first one sucks. But the
Yeah.
album that we're putting out now is also what I feel a definitive, doll man child experience. And that's comprised of mostly 1 minute songs, but they're not 1 minute because I wanted to make short music. They're 1 minute because I wanted to be
Yeah.
true to myself. And the songs only required a minute. So I was, you know what I mean? It's like
Mm-hmm.
anti-commerce in a way because it's like, why would you want less time? Surely you would repeat that hook. Surely you would turn it into a traditional song. But I think more and more and more, I'm becoming more interested in the idea of music, even like a classical kind of approach, where it's like it doesn't have to repeat a motif. We can just go down a linear trajectory, and when the song naturally needs to end, it ends. And I appreciate that you're doing that with, 5 second, 6 second bangers, basically, because that's the song. You know what I mean? And who's to say it isn't?
It's at the end of the day, just expression for me.
Yeah,
So fucking aggressive. You know what? Actually, are you familiar with cattle decapitation?
vaguely, but I'm not too sure of them. No.
Well, they've nowadays they've evolved into this massive metal iconic band. But back in the day, they were trying to break the Guinness World Record on shortest songs fucking ever, and it technically couldn't be tracked because it was physically impossible to record a point whatever 0.003 second song. But yeah, that's the aspect of grindcore that I fucking love. They're starting with Napalm Deaths. Obviously, you suffered that fucking 1 second song. I fucking love that shit. And getting back into that, most people try to pigeonhole us with the genre of grindcore and power violence because our songs are so short. But most people don't also realize that really stemmed from 80s hardcore,
Yeah.
like My Red and fucking obviously Black Flag. Having
I
short
think
bursts
I think
covered
that's
under a fucking
exactly like actually that's exactly the reason why I was drawn to you guys
yeah.
because for me I don't I as much as my prog drummer from my old band tried to get me to listen to a lot of heavier types of music and that way I was always more of like into my either my 80s punk or my 70s punk or obviously like Death
Mm-hmm.
Grips and stuff like that, which I guess Machine Girl and all that, like it kind of makes sense, like it's all the progression of that. So I guess in my
I
in
love
my
Machine Girl.
ears I'm like, yeah, amazing. In my ears, I'm like, okay, well, maybe that's the difference, between why maybe a band like Hong Kong Fuck You like just dragged me in, and actually, your
Thank
band
you.
was a way for me to communicate with certain guitarists I've had who are very heavy. And I would show them all the music that I liked, and they would say, "Oh, what the fuck is this shit?" Right? But when I showed them Hong Kong Fuck You, they shut the fuck up. So,
What do you mean by that? Like showing by
like,
guitars
I'd show
being
them
like,
your music, and they would be like, "This guy has taste." You know what I
ah,
mean? Like, I was able to bridge the gap between a different world, because here the genres don't overlap that much, you know, and so I was able to bridge that gap, and they're like, "Oh yeah, he must know his shit." But really, I'm coming at it from a different angle, you know?
I feel like you're saying that on a perspective like your guitarist came from like some technical background where he
Yeah,
thinks like Eddie Van Halen shredding is like life period and all that, and then showing you obviously my band is just full retard bullshit, but it's brutal. Yeah,
yeah, more or less.
and honestly I understand both perspectives of that because like I was telling you, sorry, I was like I was so zoned out and ADD'd out earlier, but what I was trying to get across when I said I had my metal background, like the world of like metal fans is technicality. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah,
all about like how fucking sick as fuck you are, like at shredding on guitar or drums. Whereas you know, the genres that you and I are more drawn to, are like punk and I guess grindcore and this and that. It doesn't fucking matter how much talent you have in there. It's just about like how much emotion it really evokes out of you.
yeah. Creativity, you know, like how creative can you be
Yeah,
within these
exactly.
confines? And yeah, it's an interesting, I guess, realm. I mean, we were talking about the same thing before with the art, you know, how creative can you be
Yeah.
with a set sort of limitations? Like I don't have any background in music whatso fucking ever, and I don't consider
Mhm.
myself a technical anything, which sometimes I hate that I'm not. But I think it goes back to the almost the Rick Rubin thing where it's like, but you can organize all these people together and you can organize yourself and all these sounds together and compose a song, you know? Composing a song is the same as organizing a group of people. Even if you're the one writing all the parts, you still have to get into the zone of being a bass player, being a drummer, being a singer, and then putting it all together. So I think
Mhm.
production is an art.
Which is extremely difficult. God.
Oh, for people who don't do it, the shit that we do, it's actually like a foreign concept. Like they can't understand how like one person could do all that. But I think that yeah, maybe in the future, I'm not saying this is a flex. I don't mean it in an IQ way. I mean it as just like in an interesting way. Our brain should be studied because there's not a lot of people that do everything themselves, but also don't necessarily come from a technical background, but still manage to kind of put out lots of content, you know? And it's like it's a fascinating realm of human, I guess.
This is a very fascinating realm. Most people from our realm, being creatives, are people that don't need other people to work with. Like, who are creatives at the end of the day. Like, obviously, like fucking Andy Warhol or Salvador Dali, basically artists who are at the end of the day the most successful people who work on their own. But yeah, being in a band is so fucking difficult, and that's what I was saying earlier. Like, at the end of the day, the ability to get so many people in the room at the same time actually is a job and a career, and it's called being a project manager. Holy fuck, it's difficult.
I'm gonna
Holy
get
fucking shit.
my bandmates to call me project manager from now on.
Yeah,
I think it'll change things in the hierarchy.
it's
But
very
yeah,
necessary, honestly. So
it is.
necessary.
It is, and
Anytime anyone tries to start a band with me, that's the main thing I always establish at the beginning. I was like, all right, what's the deal with this creatively? Are we all collabing
yeah.
creatively, or is there one brainchild here that we're
That's
all gonna
really
like all
smart. That's
work
a
on?
really like good way of setting boundaries,
Yeah.
also emotional boundaries. Because like I made a band as well recently too to get away from all this stuff, and it's like a Mac DeMarco parody thing called Turd Sandwich. And this band, literally called Shit Sandwich, was supposed to have like we would record vocals with a phone, right? Me and my mate would be howling, we would be doing all sorts of shit. And then we would finish a track in like 5 minutes. But because we both care about our art. Even if we call a track Turd Sandwich, it's still something we care about. So now we've spent 7 weeks mixing and mastering the fucking track, which isn't even good, right? But because we just can't let go of that inner perfectionist that's like, this is this is still art, but then why did you
I hate
call it?
how relatable that is.
Yeah, it's really tricky.
Dude,
Um,
mixing is so nice. Have you ever heard of tired ears?
no, what's that?
Me telling you this might help you. All right. So there's a thing called tired ears, which at the end of the day, when you're mixing on music, yeah, you're just constantly trying to perfect it. Like, nah, this sounds like shit. This sounds like shit. After like a fucking 10-hour session of trying to mix it.
Yeah.
But the reason why it sounds like shit to you constantly when you're pulling a 10-hour session is called tired ears, where it just sounds exactly how you perceive it. And when you're perceiving it at that time, it's anxiety. So it sounds like shit to you. So
Yeah.
my mixer guy would be like, "You probably have tired ears," and I'm like, "Yeah, you're right." And I'll go back 2 days later and re-listen to it and be like, "Actually, what we did sounds great." Does that
Yeah,
make
like
sense? What I'm getting across?
overexertion from the ear department, basically, where you're like, I need to take a break. This all sounds like
Exactly.
gibberish. I've had to do that with my album because with not with Turd Sandwich, but with Dole because like I'll be listening to the songs, really enjoying them for the first time ever, which never
Yeah.
happened to me. And because I enjoy them so much, I blast them over and over again. So now I'm suddenly not
Same.
looking at it from an
Yeah.
objective point of view. I'm very biased. I'm very integrated into it. So now it's like an issue. So I need to like not listen to them for like a month and then come back maybe because I've
Yeah.
blasted.
Being an
Yeah.
artist fucking sucks, man.
Yeah, I wouldn't
As a get
recommend
that
it. I
across.
wouldn't recommend it on anyone. I wouldn't recommend it on my worst enemy. I think it's one of the gnarliest things that I've ever done in my life. I think but also the alternative is to, not live. So there's that too.
I live, in other words, being a fucking normie. Yeah, because that's all it really is.
That's all it is, right? Beyond the music
As
shit
much
and
as
the
I've
art
been
shit.
preaching, fuck the black and white view of the world, but I mean, for us, like, holy shit, that's kind of true, you know? It's like either you're a freelance dipshit art fag like
Oh
myself,
my
or
God.
you're a normie.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
really
I've
no
been
other.
doing this dipshit art fag life for the last 4 years, working freelance. Like literally, all like I don't have a normal job. Like all my income comes from, at the end of the day, graphic design,
Mm.
which is designing T-shirts and fucking selling that shit for my band. But it's a little side note. It's kind of like terrifying because at the end of the day, like I'm relying on people to like my creations to have a living, which is like fucked. But what
Yeah.
I'm getting but backtracking, that's like I said, it's a fucking side note. It's kind of like I said, it's black and white. Either you're like this creative person that like us, where we create art, and at the end of the day, you have to sell that art, or you're this normal subservient person that just gives in at the end of the day to the fucking hive mentality.
Yeah.
But
And
now I've been doing this life for the last 3 years where I'm kind of in the middle. I'm like, holy shit, should I like it would be so convenient to just go back into that with less responsibilities, or do I continue this freelance life where I'm my own boss and I do 30 jobs at the same time to keep this shit afloat, if you're following me?
yeah, no, I am living that life and have been living that life without making any fucking money, right? Like I've made fuck all the money we make goes back into the band, and then you owe money to everyone that you fucking helped, that helped you get to where you are. It's actually an insane pursuit. And I think being in a band is
It
more
is. Yeah.
insane than anything else because it's just insanity, especially the way that the Australian music scene is with all of our festivals getting cancelled and just the way that our communities are. Like, don't get me wrong, we do have some great scenes and some amazing people,
Yeah.
some of the best people in the world, but like, it is, it is a death wish to be a musician. And I say that with like a straight face. Like, if I spoke to myself, fucking 7 years ago and said, are you sure? Like, are you sure you want to do this? But the thing is, I did it because it was a necessity for my body to just become whatever the fuck I am now. I don't think there was an element of choice in it. I think becoming an artist is some sort of a, I don't know, a mental episode that just goes on for the rest of your life or something like that. Like it's just something that you just at some point you go, I've been fucked over by too many people. The world isn't the place I want it to be. I need to, at least in this life, however short or long it is, I need to be myself. And commerce gets caught in the way of that because you try to be yourself, but you need to live, right? You need sustenance, you need water. So then you start to compromise your beliefs. But it's like, I'm still going to be myself. I just need to figure out a way to get to, the next 24 hours and on and on and on until maybe I can live for a bit longer. Anyway, I
Anyway, I
digress.
feel like anyone that would listen to what you just said would be like, what a fucking narcissistic idiot. But me as a musician, I was like, holy shit, what a narcissistic idiot. But I am projecting here because that is 1,000% me.
That's the thing as well. Like anyone who hears that stuff is like, well, why do they get to do that? It's just like I wish everyone could do it. But I mean, I'm not in a position where I'm like successful, So like I'm successful by
Yeah.
spirit. I'm not successful by a financial value. So therefore I can't really I can't really recommend this lifestyle. And who knows if the next time I chat to you in the future, I just, have a normal haircut, and I'm just working at the bank.
Wait, what do you mean by successful by spirit? Like you're just living on by perseverance?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Relatable.
Like,
Very relatable.
like rich on integrity, not in cash. Like I think my values are in the right place and I'm still trying to navigate them, but I think I'm I don't know what the word would be. Like, yeah, like rich with my own kind of like self-worth as a creative person. I think that in itself is not a commodity. That's like something that can't be commodified or whatever. But
Oh, absolutely. That's
as much as people will try to use
I
that.
know exactly what you mean, but for a listener's perspective, what he's
Yeah.
trying to say is I stuck to my fucking guns, fuck you.
Yeah. Pretty much. And
A
we'll
little
see.
a fucking fun side note. That's so relatable. Gosh, and it's a recent thing. Most people don't know I'm a father, and the mother of my child, her dad is kind of high up in his business. I'm not, I'm gonna, protect names here, but basically, he's very successful in the business. He's moved up, and he was trying to offer me a job in his industry by saying, "Oh, you can move to our city," because obviously me and my son's mother were in different cities. But anywho, he was saying, "You can move to this city. I'll give you this job.
Yeah.
You'll earn enough pretty quickly if you live with us and not paying rent, and you can get your own place and do this and that." And I was like, "Wow, that's." I mean, to anyone that sounds so financially secure, but at the end of the day, my inner fucking little art fag was just like, "Nah, I can't do that." And
Yeah.
I don't know why, but we're all like that. All of us creatives are just like, "Nah, I have to
Yeah.
do this my way. I
But
have to,
like
you know."
what I've found, and I might be wrong, and I might.
And it's as like I said jokingly earlier. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, no,
When I was obviously projecting, calling you a narcissist, it's I mean, obviously it is like a narcissistic thing, but I don't fucking care. Like I don't. I just I'm not wired to do things normally. And I was pausing in between that because I was trying to find a
yeah,
more delicate way to put it. But no, fuck it. I don't give a shit. I'm not a fucking old person. I want to do shit my fucking way.
yeah.
And I stuck to my fucking guns, and it worked out. And yeah, that was the constant tension that was between me and my son's family, where they offered me this financially secure choice, and I turned it down because I was just like, no, at the end of the day, I'm a fucking artist and I'm gonna stick to what I'm doing. And
Yeah.
it worked out. Now I'm making more than those motherfuckers doing what I fucking love at the
Fucking
end of
A.
the day, which I've been doing since I was 12 years old. Since I was 12, I was fantasizing being in a fucking band, drawing on paper shirt designs I wish I fucking had.
Yeah.
Writing down billions of fucking band names I wish was my band name. And one of those band names was Deep Throat, which is fucking hilarious. This is like 10. It wasn't a sexual thing to me. It was obviously a Richard Nixon reference. Yeah. But I was like, wow, Deep Throat, that goes so hard. Obviously, that goes hard in other ways. But anywho, my whole point with this whole spiel here is if you're fucking creative, fuck normalcy. It's not our thing. Don't get me wrong. It's very convenient because I fantasize every fucking day having a normal job where I don't have to rely on my own responsibility to get up and do the shit I need to keep my quote unquote career going.
Yeah.
My career being that I'm in a fucking shitty band, but but yeah, it's a for me, Hong Kong, it like I've been saying, it's all I fucking do. It's a full-time job. Obviously, as you probably see, at least on social media, from a social media perspective, you can tell I do all of my artwork. I do all my flyers, and print all that shit. But and people probably think I party all day on the fucking road. Like, fuck no, it's a real fucking job.
Yeah,
it's constant, and I invested everything into it. Like I was saying earlier, I don't have a car because I invested all my fucking money into music gear so that I could put out my vision properly with the, make that shit sound right to the way I want it to fucking sound. I put all my money into van rentals to tour all the time. I put my money into renting a fucking rehearsal studio so I can have a place to really own in our sound for a proper show. Also, I feel like most people can relate to this, but I during the day I'm not really functionable. Like my creativity sparks starting at fucking 12 a.m. for me. So I'm usually up from 12 a.m. to 8 a.m.
Wow.
When it comes to designing all my shit. Hence why I told you, you can interview me right now. Like right when this interview is done, I'm gonna work on a fucking flyer.
Sick.
And that's what also comes into it. I do the flyers for all of our shows. This is a full-time fucking job. Well, for me at least. Yeah, it's nonstop. That shows anyone that has attended shows will tell you this. I'm not fucking walking around partying. I'm at the merch table my fucking self, selling all that shit. But while my fucking bandmates are having the time of their life in the green room, I've only probably seen 3 green rooms this entire time this band has been running.
Really?
Yeah.
What the hell?
Absolutely.
Dude, that's really as you would know, but that's like really inspiring to hear, because a lot of people don't like using the word career and art together, or a lot of people can't implement that in their lives, Yeah. But I think it is a job just like any other job. It's just a more fun job, and it should exist because it brings people so much joy. And for me, especially in my final years of schooling, I was restricted, I ended up going to a Catholic school for 2 years. I'm not Catholic. And so I was very much restricted to how long I could have my hair, what I could say, how I should dress. And so after experiencing that, I said, you know what? That could be the rest of my life, or not. Or I could just subvert that and try something different. And I think that's what I've been doing throughout my entire 20s, is trying to make sure that glimpse of a life that I saw when I was, 17 and 18 never happens.
Yeah.
And whether it's a good thing or not, it's still a career, and people should respect it and treat it as such, on both of our ends.
Yeah, so relatable. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I grew up with that background, hence why my name is Christian. My family was extremely religious, super religious as fuck. Like, I had to, obviously, I grew up in 2000s. I didn't, with no internet access, all the music I had, and how I got into this genre was, obviously, I said earlier, Ventura, that with that little Cannibal Corpse scene,
Yeah.
which was my introduction to death metal. And there was also this radio show back in the day called Another State of Mind, and they would just play death metal and underground shit. And that was my only source for that music. Also, I had to go to my fucking local. Do you guys have Barnes and Nobles?
No, but we have other equivalents to that. But I don't. No, we don't have Barnes and Nobles in Australia.
But you know what a Barnes and Noble is, right?
Yeah, yeah. I've been to America.
Yeah, yeah. So I had to literally steal all my CDs from those places. I was quite the fucking kleptomaniac growing up. God, I was so brilliant at it. Got arrested for that quite often, actually. But anyway, yeah.
But
Like,
which
I'm old school.
CD?
I had to steal all my fucking CDs from fucking record stores to listen to that shit. It was such a challenge to even listen to fucking death metal, hardcore, and all that shit. And that's like what really got me through when I was like a teenager. And it was music like that because I grew up in such an extreme Christian household that is as stereotypical as it's been portrayed. Like, I would get beat the shit out of me for listening to music like that or doing anything relatively subversive.
Yeah.
So it was like my life to be subversive as a teenager. Like, this was, it wasn't like a trend or this or that for me. It's just something I was genuinely interested in. Like, I was literally fighting for my life to listen to just fucking death metal. Like, God, I remember my mom smashing on my Pantera CDs when I was 12. Obviously, this is before Phil Anselmo came out as a fucking idiot, but yeah.
Yeah. that unless she smashed all of them because she realized that Phil was a fuckhead. But no, that's.
I will let her know. I'll let her know.
Let her know that she did the right.
You're kind of. I'll let her know tomorrow. No, you're kind of smart about smashing those ones.
You knew what was going to happen in the future, so you actually saved me. Thank you.
Yeah, it was such an extreme challenge just to listen to all that shit. But yeah, no, I feel like that's the reason why it's such a staple in my life that is considered a crime to listen to anything that wasn't Christian music in that household that I grew up in.
Well, I'll tell you one thing as well is like during COVID.
Also, I apologize how long it's taken me to put these points across because I've been drinking since.
It's been awesome. It's been awesome chatting to you. Like, this is no different to an actual conversation I'd have with a mate, and I literally met you today. So,
that's what I told you in the chat earlier.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna
This might be the longest episode yet. In 40 episodes, I think we've broken the barrier of like this might be a world record. And to be honest, I don't even know what I was gonna say now. But I think that is a good sign to close the interview off and ask you one more thing, which is there anything you want to say to the Australians or the Dutch people who might be listening to this podcast? Is there anything you want to leave with?
To thank Australia for inventing the word cunt. I fucking love it.
Damn. All right, I'll take that. I'll represent Australia this time. All right. Well, thank you, Christian.
Cunt's non-binary.
Cunt is non-binary. Yes. So thank you for coming on the show. And yeah. Good luck with all the cool fucking awesome stuff that you're doing.